Happy Sunday.
My apologies for the late start. We had a very serious issue when we started, so we had to go back and fix the problem. But we're here now. How are
No
you feeling?
problem. I'm awesome.
When was the last time you were in Abia State?
That was March. That was yes, March 5th, 2026.
Oh, that's very recent.
March
That's very
5th,
recent.
Doc,
2026. Yes.
Doc,
Yeah, you don't know that I have massive investments in Abia
I
State.
am aware. I'm
I
aware.
was about to ask that.
So
Doc,
we have
welcome.
massive investments.
Doc,
Thank God for the conducive, secured, and friendly environment that have been in place since May 29, 2023.
yes. So one of the ways we can start this conversation is maybe you can start with some kind of a tribute to Professor Nnenna Otti. Then we go from there to Abia State. If you will.
Okay, it's not an overstatement if we say that Nnenna is one of a kind. And let me tell you, there is something people don't understand. This when the flyer um, for this space was shared, somebody called me. In fact, somebody chatted me, one of the top guns in PDP between 2015 to 2023. He said, Doc, you're a man of principle, you're a man of integrity. Don't go and talk so much about Nnenna. You don't know much about Nnenna. That somebody decided to do righteous thing once. You should go to the university and see what she's doing, blah, 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 blah. And I was angry, but I controlled myself for sake of, somebody I respect so much. And I told him, I said, see, you are not a saint. I am not a saint. Nnenna is not a saint. There's nobody that is a mortal that is a saint. But I pray and wish. And how I prayed and wished. If every of the professors and the VCs that participated in the election of 2023 chose to just be righteous, to do what was right, just for once in their life, in those elections that happened between February, March, and April 2023. If they had chosen, 30 of them chose to do what was right, including the madness that happened in Rivers State, Nigeria wouldn't have been in the mess that we are today. If those that switched off IREF chose just for once in their life to do what was right by not switching off IREF, we won't be where we are today. And I want us to understand this, and I've said it. No matter the systems you put in place, no matter the full proof technology, software, whatever that you put in place, the human factor still plays a very important role. I say it with every sense of responsibility. We have 176,824 poll units in Nigeria. We have 8,809 ward collation centers. We have 774 local government collation centers. We have 36 state collation centers from Abuja 37. And in each poll unit, we have at least 3 to 4 people manning it, electoral officers, the presiding officers, the assistant presiding officer, the RACTEC, and the other person. So in all, we have the presidential election, national assembly election, at every point in time. And they will have the police officers, we have the army, we have everybody participating. And interestingly, most of those who will man these poll units and who will serve as collation officers at each of these collation points, and those who will man IRF are either, most of them are actually graduates. They're either youth corpers or university teachers or professors or vice chancellors, the same people that will every 4 years, they will embark on one strike or the other. And I say, if each and every one of them can sing all they want to sing all year round, and on the day of election, they sit back, they will come to them, approach them, oh, we are going to give you this, collect this, on that day, do this. See, because if you give them inkling that you won't do what they want you to do, they may get some other person to do it. The devil will always fish for somebody that will always do his work. But they will approach you. But in the right of your mind, just like the when Pharaoh approached, was it yes, it was Pharaoh in the Bible, approached the midwives and promised them heaven and earth to enable and promised them that if they can help him kill the Hebrew firstborn and male child. But the women feared God. Despite the fact that they accepted that they were going to do it, but they never killed those women. The numbers continue to increase until you realize something is going on somewhere. So on the day of election, before election, because let me tell you what we're dealing with here. As I'm talking to now, INEC, if those in INEC have refused to repent, they will gather names of people that will run election. And I'm sure before they gather those names, they will approach people that they will think will be very, very compliant. They will approach you, even if they promise, agree, collect everything that give it. But on the day of election, sit down and ask yourself this question: whether a Muslim or as a Christian, if Nnenna had compromised, if Nnenna had submitted to the threats, you know that the election was stopped and they ferried her to Abuja, bullied her and everything, she refused. They offered her a humongous amount of money, allegedly that runs into billions. She refused. At the end of the day, if Nnenna had succumbed to their pressure and allowed the canonization of Abia election results from Obingwa, where they packaged over 108,000 votes to upset the 80,000 votes that Alex Otti was leading with, by now Abia will have still been in darkness. But her heroic acts today saved Abia State from 23 years of darkness. So on the day of election, I say they will do all their permutations. If 70% and said we will not participate in butchering these children, we will not just for within 24 hours, you stand against them, refuse to doctor the result, refuse to switch results, refuse to do everything, they won't kill you. They cannot wipe away 500,000 people. Do it like Nnenna. 2027 we promise Nigeria a new light, new things and new doings. I cannot. How I wish every Nigerian participating in election, whether you're righteous or unrighteous, on that a day, for the sake of posterity, for the sake of many Nigerians that are currently being slaughtered like rams because of bad leadership, for the sake of the poverty that are ravaging this land, for the sake of your conscience, because for every blood of any Nigerian that is shed because you helped to force bandits and incompetent criminals, the blood is on your head. Thank God for Nnenna, and we pray that many Nnenna will emerge in 2027. Like I said, you can put whatever technology you will need to be in place. You might even do whatever amendment you need to do to make sure. Let me tell you, there's something about the devil. The devil will always create loopholes where there are no loopholes. All we need to withstand the devil and his work is for people to make up their mind. If I perish, I perish. I will do what is right like Nnenna, and Nigeria will be well again. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Doc.
And come back up. Okay.
Okay. That's fine. Okay, I think we have Peter Aka here. I'm sending you invite now to come and join us. To come on the mic on the speaker panel. If you see the request, please, the invite, please accept and come up. Let's elevate this conversation. All right, to everyone in the audience, please feel free to request the mic and come in. We're having a conversation, and everybody is invited to this conversation. As you can see, this is where it's going, and it's about Abia State. But beyond Abia State, it's about credible elections. It's about good governance, where the system works for everybody, where you can actually work hard and it pays you, where you can live safely, where you can have your kids in school and they will have quality education, where you can take ill and go to the hospital and get quality medical care, where you can move around freely and easily without stress because the road infrastructure is working, where you can have goods move from one location to another without unnecessary wahala on the road. Hearing that this truck fell, maybe you are importing something from the north to the east or to Lagos, and next thing you hear, the truck fell and you lost some of those things because you were using the wrong channels to move these things. You want a country that works so well that even if you live in diaspora, you want to come here more often. You want to invest. You want to even spend more time with your people without having any fear for your life. You want a country that you can bring other people from other countries happily and proudly. Your friends, you can bring them from the countries of your residence to this country to spend time, have vacation. Tell them, that time you're having winter, that's when we're having Hamatan in Nigeria. So come and enjoy yourself. And you won't feel any sense of shame for any reason because you have a country that works. That's what we want. And the only way to get there is to have good governance. But there is only one way to get good governance, is through the elections, it's through the electoral process. That's why this conversation is very important to us, because we understand that without this process going properly, you can hardly dream of having a good governor, a good leader, or a good governor, or a good senator, or a good president. There's something that Peter Obi has said many times. You cannot come in through the window and start cleaning up the house. Anybody who comes into these places, these offices, through the wrong channel or through the wrong process, or having sabotaged the process to be able to gain access to power, will never work for the people. Life doesn't work like that. Never works like that. That's why you have what you have now. In fact, I wanted to see if we can have somebody from Abia State Government House or government, an official from Abia State government to come and speak to us, because it will be nice for us to have a perspective, from their perspective, as to how it feels to run this government, to run this state, Abia State, with freedom. Like with freedom, knowing that you have the mandate of the people. You don't have one godfather or one kingmaker breathing on your neck all the time, telling you what to do and what not to do. Rather, you're just doing what the people want because they are the ones who put you there. That's the dividend of credible elections. So, one of the reasons why we're having this celebration, like Mark said, is to elevate the conversation. It is to celebrate good deeds. It's to put it on the map so that others who are going to be in these positions can see how we treat, how we celebrate, how we honor those who do great job in spite of the challenges. Because the truth is that this job is not for everybody. Not everybody have the mettle to stand this. But if you can stand this, if you can take courage and do what is needful, this is how we celebrate you. That's what we're saying. This is how Nigeria will celebrate you. This is the honor that comes to you. Imagine being the child of this woman, how you feel anywhere you walk in. Oh, this is the son or this is the daughter of Professor Nnenna. Everybody just looks at you with smile on their face. Like, oh, because of good name. Good name, it opens doors. It does things that you can never achieve with money. Even the Bible, the Holy Book says it. A good name is better than silver and gold or riches. Yeah, let's continue this conversation. If you are requesting the mic and I can't see it, please maybe you can exit and come back again so you can come on the conversation. But we have all the guests here now, so we will move quickly and make the most of this. Peter.
Yeah, Chika, I wanted to say something to Doug. Doug,
All right.
um, thank you so much for all you do. The last time I got to um, speak with you or hear you speak was on Violent Space when you talked about agriculture and the new way to get into agriculture. I tried reaching out to you, but for some reason I could not get full contact with you. So I would send you a DM and we can talk at the back end after now. But thank you so much and I appreciate you. Um,
Thank you very much.
yeah, Doc. Thank you. Thank you for all you're doing. And I'm glad to know that you're doing well in Abia State. You know, so I know you're from where? Enugu, if I'm not mistaken. Enugu State. Go,
No, I was
right?
born in Enugu State, about
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Looks like he got a call.
Yeah.
Abia State. So I am an
So,
Abia from my maternal side.
oh, okay. So where would you
Everybody
love to
loves Abia now.
where would you love to run for governorship so that we can start pushing you for the next electioneering circle? So when you're ready, let us know.
Thank you very much.
All right, sir. Yeah, Peter Aka, the man himself, the relentless fighter. My brother, welcome and thank you for being here. You know, I call you the electoral reform guy. Thank you for your steadfastness. Thank you for not giving up. Thank you for, going all in when nobody believed you believed. Thank you that you pushed those people to doing something, in as much as we know what they did was not right, but it was your effort. I would give that to you. And I would tie it to us not giving up, us working with you tirelessly and making sure this coming election is credible. And we will feel the impact, just like what the people in Abia State are doing now. They're feeling the impact of credible election. You are for credible election. You are for obeying rule and orders, and you are for making sure everything is done right. Reforming the constitution, making sure things are put in proper places so that we all can enjoy a beautiful country called Nigeria. I want to take this time to appreciate you, Peter, and I'm going to yield back to you now. So let's hear from you, sir. Thank you so much.
Hi, Peter.
Yeah, hello, good evening, sir.
Good
Thank you very
evening,
much
Peter.
for having me. Yes.
Thank you for joining us in spite of the delays and the crash of the space. You came back. Thank you so much for your patience. If you wouldn't
But,
mind, if you wouldn't
mm,
mind, maybe you can start with a tribute to Professor Nnenna Otti. Then you proceed from there.
okay. So you asked the question when I'm
No, you can start with a tribute to Professor Nnenna Otti. Then we can move from that.
okay. Thank you very much once again for having me. I want to specially appreciate and send my warm regards to everyone on the call, the co-panelists, Dr. Obiariri and Hajia Aisha Yusufu and everyone here. Nigeria is beautiful because of all of us. Thank you for everything we are doing. It is Women's Month in March all over the world, and it is a good time for us to truly celebrate the pillars that we have in our society. People like Professor Nnenna are the reason why we continue to hope and aspire for a better society. Because in a society that is filled with sometimes reasons to be despondent, you always find people in every generation. We have had people like Professor Dora Akunyili. We have had people like the late Dr. Stella Adadevo, who saved Nigeria from a catastrophe during the Ebola crisis. And then we had Professor Nana Yauti, who stood in defense of democracy. And today, an entire state is better off because one person decided to stand by principle, by integrity, and by truth for what is right. We celebrate her. We felicitate with her. We pray that she lives long and longer to experience in Nigeria that she truly deserves and her children. And also call or use it as a clarion call to call on all Nigerians for us to understand that Imagine if we had Professor Nnenna replicated across 36 states. Imagine what will happen if there was a Professor Nnenna at the national level of INEC. Because no matter how much we may sing the praises of what Abians are enjoying today, we should also understand that the current governor there will probably be working under incredible pressure, knowing that amongst 36 governors, he's probably standing alone when almost every other person has decided to move onto a fraudulent mandate which they are likely to collapse. So let us imagine what will be coming as pressures from the center and all of that. So we must also continue to expand the conversation to know that if one person could achieve this in Professor Nnenna, then we as Nigerians have millions of Professor Nnennas amongst us. And between now and the coming elections, we must activate it at our own level. We may not all be returning officers. We may be a Professor Nnenna in your polling unit. You may be a Professor Nnenna as a polling agent in your local government collation center, in ensuring that you are in the situation room. Anywhere we find ourselves, we can imbibe the spirit of Professor Nnenna to ensure that the generality of Nigerians benefit from a process that should be free, fair, credible, and peaceful. I thank you all, and I congratulate Professor once again. It is an honor to be here.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Peter. It's an honor to have you here. Honestly, once you started speaking, I just closed my eyes and I watched your video, as if I'm watching a video of yours. That's exactly how I felt watch just listening to you now, because there is this righteous energy that comes from you when you were speaking. I don't know if anybody has told you that before. When you speak about Nigeria, it's like you wear something. You remember the day first time we got on the phone? I was wondering if I'm speaking to Peter, because it wasn't exactly the same tone. There's this tone, there's this aura that comes out once you start talking about Nigeria. There's this thing that catches on, you know. It's fire. It's so much fire, and it's lethal. Not lethal against humanity, but lethal against the evils that are holding this country back. It comes with so much power that I can't even imagine how these people feel when they listen to you. And I
Very
want
true.
you to know that,
Very, very
yeah,
true. Yeah.
I want you to
Very
know that
true.
whenever that happens, it's
Yeah.
contagious. It's contagious. Everybody who watches you, who is well meaning, who wants the best for Nigeria, catches something when they listen to you. A fire, a fire is some kind of fire is transferred from you to them in their own way, in another form altogether that works for them. But the point is, everybody is inspired by what you do. I want you to understand that it's not just people that are telling you. There are millions of people who don't tell you anything, who don't get to tell you how much you light their own fire by just doing what you're doing. And that's one of the reasons why we said we must bring you here, because I see you, among many things you do, I see you as a voice of accountability. It's beyond elections. The way you go into the details when you talk about these things, I'm like, this guy is an AI. It can't be. It can't be the usual Nigerian, because of the way you table all the facts and all the issues. You don't forget anything at all, and that's amazing. That's amazing. So I'm wondering how we can replicate that, because I believe that one of the ways we can have credible elections in Nigeria is to have enough people holding the feet of those who do this job, holding their feet to the fire constantly, constantly, when they know that the populace, the people, Nigerians, are watching them with red eye and they're not letting go. They will be more likely to behave like Professor Nnenna or than to go otherwise, because they know that even if I take these offers that are given to me, I'm going to have to face these people. How will I deal with these people? What do you think? What more do you think we can do to replicate this energy and spread it across the country to every length and breadth of this country?
Okay, thank you very much. You know, how I will want to approach it is when citizens understand the importance and value of what you are handling. If you give a child a toy that is worth, or a phone, a gadget that is worth hundreds of thousands, he will treat it as he will treat a toy you bought for him to play. And that is why you see a mother will complain that he broke the screen of my phone. No, you gave it to a child, and that is what it does. As citizens, do we truly understand the importance and the consequences of elections? Do we draw a direct line between what happens on election day and what happens in our personal lives? It is a former British Prime Minister, Winston Churchill, said a lot of people complain about democracy. Nigerians will tell you, oh, this democracy may not, but the truth of the matter is, Winston Churchill said, democracy is the worst form of government until you try every other form of government. The way democracy is in principle, if it is put in practice, we will all be better off because guess what? Even people who criticize democracy in Nigeria, when they decide to migrate out of Nigeria, they do not go to countries that have dictatorships. They go to the Western world where there are democracies. So the question is, what happened with democracy once let the principle of democracy be stable and then the practice become hijacked by charlatans and criminals in public office. That is why in Nigeria today, on Democracy Day, the only people celebrating are those in government houses, in state houses. They cut cake, they release pigeons. Why? Because they are the only beneficiaries of that system. For us to become beneficiaries, we must know that democracies thrive when citizens participate. You must insist that as a people, you are a part of choosing leadership and holding them accountable. Now, when you have a country like Nigeria where you have a history of the entire system not working, a Gen Z citizen today will ask you or tell you, why should I be patriotic? Because I have not known Nigeria to work. But for all of us as a people, we must understand that if you can also become a victim of a system you decide to ignore, choosing to ignore the system does not insulate you. People who have been killed in Kayama, those who were killed in Goza, persons in IDP camps, were not necessarily agitating. They were just in their homes and terrorists invaded. Those who were killed during the Abuja Kaduna train attack were not necessarily activists, but somehow Nigeria happened to them. So now we must understand that issues of elections must be raised to the level of a crisis. Because guess what? Notice that every government that is mischievous will try to do everything but will avoid free, fair, and credible elections. That is where you must hold them. Somebody will tell you, I'm building a coastal highway for 15 trillion. I want to do this, we want to do seaport. But, sir, can you take a portion, just a quarter of this amount, and ensure that you have technology in 177,000 polling units? He said, no, we cannot have it. So that is why you must know that the only confidence of corrupt politicians is a rigged electoral process. So what they want you to do is that you continue to become discouraged. Every year, 4 years, more, less and less people come out to vote. The lesser people come out to vote, the easier it is to buy votes, the easier it is to rewrite results. Why? Because that voter apathy is a strategy. The whole confusion of moving electoral act to 2026 to sign it late and all, that confusion is part of the strategy. Citizens must come to that understanding that elections are blood business. Look at America, for example, as I round up. Donald Trump today is in a hurry to begin to fulfill his campaign manifesto. He's trying to end the war in Ukraine. He has started one in Iran. He's ending the one in Gaza. Because the American system does not even give you 4 years. By November of this year, they will be going into a midterm election. Either the House or the Senate can flip and become democratic. It makes it more difficult for the president in the White House. So he wants to prove to the people that I still deserve for you to keep my party in power. In Nigeria, it is not so because power does not come from the people. So even if today we say there should be a revolution, people should fight and all of that, I am of the opinion that Nigerians, brace yourself for an electoral revolution. If you fight and destroy everything in Nigeria today, you must still come back and pick leadership. Check every country where there have been a revolution, the Arab Spring, look at Sri Lanka, look at Nepal. They still had to come back to get leadership. You cannot do it by mouth. We cannot say, okay, there was a revolution, so okay, you, Peter, become president. They not to say why. You, the South, will say no. So elections must be raised to the level of a national crisis. What we do every 4 years determines the number of persons that may even live. I am probably not married today because of Buhari and Tinubu. It's possible. Maybe not because, yes, the economy is also tied to how Somebody who is planning a wedding today, how much will it take? So I just want to continue to encourage Nigerians to know that nation building is not a sprint, it's a marathon. The more they do not want free and fair elections, the more you must insist. It is a silver bullet. This electoral act we have today may not have given you all you want. It has taken it a step further. It is up to you to use the same weapon that was supposed to use to destroy you as citizens, to use it as your own building block for you to get what you want. Why? Because you are more. The power of the people is greater than the criminals in power. As long as they want to discourage us, please, we should not be discouraged. We must be resolute and resilient. Elections are what exactly determine the quality of life and society that we have. Thank you, and I yield.
That was hot. That was very hot. I think I want to believe that. I believe that when you have an evidence, when you have a clear evidence that is indefatigable, and nobody can cast any doubt around it, that this is evident, that this is product of credible elections. I think it should actually become a normal incentive for people to take elections seriously. Um, do you think that what we're seeing in Abia State will influence the behavior of the voter in the southeast, in other states in the southeast, and the environs, the other states around? Because all of them, they visit Abia State. At least their relatives do, and they see what's going on there, and they know how the governor got in there, so they know what produced this situation. Do you think what we already have going on in Abia State is going to influence the behavior of the voter naturally?
As much as I want to agree that a lot of people like it, the tragedy about Nigeria is that we have. Sorry.
Still there?
Sorry, I thought it was my question. I didn't know
No, it's
someone
for
was.
you. It's for you. So go on. It's
Oh,
for you.
okay. Okay. So I said, as much as we agree that a lot of people love what is going on in Abia. Oh, Alex Otti, he's transforming this, he's transforming that. But the tragedy about Nigeria is that we have become a people who have developed a certain level of very incredible threshold for suffering and pain, such that the average Nigerian always tries to look for a way out. And because of the peculiarities of elections in each places, sometimes what ultimately drives our decisions may not become the collective pain that we are all suffering. Look at Anambra, for example. What you are seeing in Anambra is almost a direct template of what is playing out with the voter apathy. The total votes that brought in Professor Charles Soludo for this second term are about 430 something thousand, less than 450,000 votes. Anambra is a state where normally Onitsha alone should give you up to 700 to 900,000 votes. If Anambra, as a major voting bloc in the southeast, is producing less than 450,000, imagine what Ebonyi will give you. So now look at what Enugu will give. So look at what Bayelsa will give you, or Cross River, or Akwa Ibom. And then tomorrow somebody will come with, they will say, fear not, let's bring one senatorial district from Bauchi or from Borno. Because sometimes in Nigeria, when you follow the trend of election results, you come to the conclusion that it is easier to vote in Borno than to live there. So when you see this kind of templates, it is to show you that there is maximum drive to ensure voter apathy. Now, the question to citizens of other states is that you saw what happened in Abia. People came out to vote. Somebody stood in to defend and say the mandate and the will of the people should prevail. What exactly are we learning, and what is the confidence that we want to take to our own states to say, look, we will come out to vote for a candidate that we know that has the character, the competencies, and the capacity and credibility, who is not a thief. We will vote for this person and we will stick our necks to ensure that the votes will count. And even when we do not have a Professor Otti, we may not have at the helm of affairs, we will impress on whoever is there to deliver for the people. Because one mistake Nigerians make is thinking that, one thing I heard during this election, electoral reform issue, people will tell me that, look, are you expecting Akpabio Senate to give you electoral reform? I said, okay. Since Akpabio will not give me, maybe I should wait. When Akpabio leaves, maybe the person who will come after him will be better. But you know the Nigerian tragedy, there is no worst case scenario. Because you think things are this bad does not mean it will not get worse. Remember, there was an Ahmed Lawan Senate. You thought it was rubber stamp. Akpabio only came to show you that there is a next dimension to incompetence and psychophancy. If you cannot impress on Akpabio to get what you want, you will be going on in a vicious circle. So even if there is no Professor Otti, the person who is returning officer is one person. How many persons are in that state? So we can all wishfully wish for what happened in Abia, but if we as a people are not determined to say, look, we want to have a Professor Otti in our own state, in any case, whoever that INEC decides to bring there, we will impose in you the spirit of Professor Otti. So when you make INEC job become a dangerous job for even INEC officials, where people know that there will be consequences for going away the will of the mass of the people, then people will do the right thing. But as long as people will come and then vote and say, I beg me, I no want go, I go come out, I go do this. So don't worry. What they write and announce is what you will get. And at the end, we'll only be wishing, say, okay, if Alex Oti finish, maybe make the loan am to Edo, make he go help the D7 for them. If they finish for them, maybe make he go do 1 year for Rivers. Maybe he go come out from there. So we will just be wishfully thinking. It is up to all of us. We can desire something, but most importantly, we can work to achieving it. I thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. Okay, I think we should be taking some questions. Mark, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, but give me a minute though.
All right.
Give me.
All right. Um, guys, I'm sure you'll know what this conversation is about. You can see the title, and you've been listening for some minutes, so I'm sure you know where we're going with this conversation. But we're going to spread it as we go. So please, let's try and stick to the conversation when we come in. If you are asked to speak, please stick to the conversation. If you want to engage the speakers, feel free to bring in any question that is relevant to this conversation. Also, try and avoid any noisy surrounding when you are to speak so that we can hear you clearly. And as you can see, we're having a very, very civil conversation here. So feel free to request the mic coming. For those who have raised their hands, we will start with, I think Mike was here from the beginning. Yeah.
Yes, yes, sir.
Mike, would you like to engage any of the speakers? Okay, I can see Madam Aisha here. Madam Aisha, if you're ready to speak, please request the mic so you can come up and join us. I'm trying to invite you, but for some reason it's not working. If you can hear me and you are trying on your end also, maybe you can send me a message or just show an emoji so we know what's going on. But if you're ready to speak, just raise your hand or anything. I'll request the mic so we can bring you up and engage you as well. All right, Mike, go on.
Yes. The first question I have, because I don't want to forget that question. Do we have a WhatsApp group?
Do we have what?
A WhatsApp group, a group where we communicate with each other as obedience? Because I've been meaning to ask that question for a long time. That's the first thing I want to ask.
That's definitely, there are many WhatsApp groups. That's the only way I can answer that question. There are many WhatsApp groups, like hundreds of WhatsApp groups. So it depends on the context of the WhatsApp group. If it's a general, of course, we can't have one general WhatsApp group for all the obedience, but there are channels. There's a website, obedience.com.
Mm-hmm.
Channels by
Yeah.
which you can communicate. There's also a DM. You can send the messages in the DM and you can be
Can I,
communicated to
if
what
you
we're
don't
going to do.
mind,
But
if you
beyond
don't
that,
mind,
Okay.
can I answer him if you don't mind?
okay, go on.
I could help. Hello everyone. Yeah, like you said, there are various WhatsApp group depending on what the task or contest is, but most prominent for us now is the mobilization, whether ADC or as a movement. So I know for sure we have a WhatsApp group that is currently going on for 36 states, including FCT, which brings it to 37. And then it comes to 38 if you add the one for the diaspora. So I don't know if you're in diaspora or
Yes. Yes.
back
Yes,
home.
sir.
If you're in diaspora, you might want to be in the one for diaspora. And then if you're interested in working, making some work done on the ground back home, you could also indicate the states where you would like to be included as far as the WhatsApp is concerned. So maybe you can chat me up on the DM.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And then my second issue is what I was speaking about initially, but there were not many people in the room at that time. What I was talking about was the Sham Electoral Act that was passed by the Nigerian legislature, and the fact that they should now showed us how they intend to follow up with that sham in the FCT elections, the council elections. From what we saw that their plan is whether even if you win the election, we'll still write the results at the collation centers, which is basically the choke point. Um, I want to ask a question, which is what, and then I have, in fact, before I ask the question, I want to make a statement. I feel that we already know what their intentions are. I think we should be a little bit more proactive in terms of studying the APC since they've been in power. The only time they've ever shifted in their impunity is when there is foreign eyes or foreign intervention on their policies. As if you check the history of the APC since they came, since this current regime, the only time they've shifted was when there was foreign intervention. I personally wrote out a document, and I tried to reach out to the various people who I felt could pass it across to the right channels. I sent it to His Excellency's his LinkedIn as a DM, a PDF file. I've tried to contact Hajia Aisha, DMing, but I'm sure she's not responding because she doesn't know who I am. Um, I think we should be a little bit more proactive to push to see if we could have that reversed before time, because this is what they want to do. They want to rewrite these results at the collation
Okay,
centers and somehow head us into court.
Mike.
Which do you know?
Mike,
Yes,
I understand. I hear you. I understand where you're going. I think that one of the things you need to do, first of all, is to identify um, the structure and how it connects to you. So, I mean, I'm talking about the states where you come from, and then
Abia.
okay, so you first thing you need to do is to connect with the structure in Abia State, the coordinator
Okay.
of Abia State structure. That's the first thing you need to do, and then if you want to be part of any department or any directorate and function within that directorate, you can also join. But one of the ways you can achieve this is to go to the website and join officially the obedient
I've already
movement.
joined.
Okay, so when you joined, you applied for, so you put in that information, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so is to identify the state coordinator. So I'm sure somebody will send you a message before the end of this space regarding that,
No?
or
Okay.
maybe if the coordinator is here, the person will see you and send you a message. But it's the first place to start, grassroots from home, and then from there you can bring up anything at all.
Okay.
Yes,
All right.
but beyond
Thank you.
that, just like Chris said, one of the most important thing we need to do right now, is to secure our place in ADC
Okay.
because it's timely, very timely. We don't have a large time window right now. When we do that, then we have some leverage. Then we can now look at other things. We have enough time to plan other things that are not so close in time, that are not so they are not pressed for time like this one. This one is is of essence right now. We can't wait any longer. We can't waste any time any longer, and we don't even have the the luxury of time with this one. But the other ones, I'm not saying that we have enough time to prepare for the elections. What I'm saying is that in the order of priority, this is the
Mm.
first thing to do. When we get to this point, we have mobilized enough people to join ADC. Then we can now look at how to get all those people that have joined ADC when we have gotten to the point where we're running for president through Peter Obi. Then we can look at all these things and how to handle them. I think that makes sense. It doesn't mean we can't do some things on the side. We can. Yeah, but this should be our focus now, if you get me.
Not a
I
problem.
believe that Madam
Not a
Aisha
problem.
will speak more to that when she starts talking. Yeah.
Okay.
So you were meant to ask a question for one of the speakers. Did you mention the question?
No, the only question the question I asked was basically what I said. What are our intentions proactively
Okay.
to circumvent the sham electoral bill,
Okay.
sham electoral.
Why I said these things is because some of the questions you're asking, or part of the question you're asking, the answer cannot be mentioned or explained here, because you don't
Yeah.
discuss strategies publicly. But yeah, there's a lot we can do.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Let's take one more question before we go to this. If you have anything to engage, any point to engage with, you can also drop it in the comment section. If you don't want to speak, it's fine. Please, if you have been sending any DM and expecting any reply, I'm sorry I can't reply you right now. There's something I need to sort out on that end before I can reply you. So that part is closed. But you can always put something on the comment section. We'll read it out if it's a question or something that we can bring into this conversation. We'll read it out as well. Yeah. Thank you. Jack, is he the next person? I don't think Jack is the next person. I think Nehemiah is the next
Okay,
person.
no, I'm back. I think Prince Favor should would go.
Pr-
Nehemiah would
Prince.
go next.
Okay, Prince and
Yeah, Prince
Nehemiah.
Favor
Okay.
has been here for a minute. Then Nehemiah, and then we'll go with Revolution. I think. Yeah.
Okay.
So those three, and then Chris will follow after those three. Then Jack would come last for now. Jack, sorry, but you have to chill for a minute.
Okay. Okay, let's go back to the speakers. Madam Aisha, I'm trying to bring you on. I don't know what's going on. I'm inviting you. It's not coming. It's not connecting. Maybe you can exit the space and come back just right after that. If that will help, please. We need you. We need you here as quickly as possible. Okay, Prince, go on. Go for it. Prince,
Okay, good evening from here. I hope I'm audible.
loud and clear.
Okay, good evening to the host and the co-host, Mark Wilder. Peter, I see you. God bless you for all you do. I actually requested the mic when you asked for people from Abia to, I don't have a question for Peter. Peter is somebody I know, and I joined the protest during the one we did in National Assembly where they used tear gas to finish us. But that's a story for another day. So I actually requested. I'm from Abia State, and I know that we are better today than we were 3 or 4 years ago. And the credit to level 2 will also go to Mag and his team because I know what they did during the 2023 elections and all that. They rallied around a whole lot of support for us from Abia State. And I remember going home, visited about 9 local government out of 17. And I thank God that at the end of the day, all that stress and whatever at the end of the day is now paying off. And so I'm only here to say we are better today as a people as a result of the help we received from the Twitter space to Dr. Nnenna, Otti, and most especially to our wonderful governor who, to a level, who didn't let us down. Because I know a lot of things happened within that 2023 elections that we did so much. But today we have something to show from Abia State. And I am proud to say I am from there and Otti is doing well. Because of the time and what is going on here, I don't want to go into so much details, but I just want to say one thing because from where I come from to Abamentown, what they call Mivatin. From my village, you will get to where they call flyover, then flyover, you enter motor going to Protocol Road that takes you to Mivatin. That's where we normally enter motor to go to Lagos, Abuja, or XY. That place got so bad that we will have to go through Abowere Road before linking Milverton. That was how bad and terrible that Port Harcourt Road is. I mean, even when you want to do the Port Harcourt Road, you will enter about at a point you will stop where they call it Simili, then you enter as in what was supposed to have taken you for maybe for 20 minutes or thereabout. At the end of spending 3 hours. That was how bad that road is. But today, that has changed. A whole lot has changed in Abia State. My state no longer smells because the place was smelling. There were a whole lot. It no longer smells. And all credit to Dr. Otti and his wonderful team. They are doing an excellent job. And to Dr. Nnenna too, who refused to be compromised. God bless you wherever you are, madam. I wish and pray you are listening. God bless you. And like the other speaker said, I pray in 2027 your likes will come out in all the states and local governments so that we will have a Nigeria that works. To everyone who's part of this, God bless you. We pray that come 2027, a new Nigeria will be made possible. Once again, let me use the mic for now. God bless you all.
God bless you too. Okay, let's take the next question from Nehemiah.
Yeah, good evening, or depending on wherever you're speaking from, everyone. Thank you very much for putting this together. And I'm glad that we are trying to make this at least a yearly celebration, because a successful election is a successful democracy. Credible election is credible democracy. And without the will of the people prevailing, then we will just continue to live in a society without trust, and a society of chaos. So I would start with I'll say one small thing. I'm going to ask a question. I believe if you can relive what happened in 2023 in Abia State, you would remember clearly that number one, people came out en masse to come and vote. I think that's very important. Also, number two, people pushed hard enough. I remember that time. I think election was 19th, if I'm correct. Thugs modify the election results. Please go ahead and go and find out anyone I want to find out. But this woman refused. And for me, what was the real thing that caught my attention in all of this thing was a statement that she made, because she told her story a couple of days later after declaring those results. Right? Even under immense pressure, this woman was bribed, this woman was threatened, this woman was blackmailed, whatever it is. But in the heat of the moment, she said one thing. She says, "If I perish, I perish." That statement has stuck with me for a long time about this woman. And until we have Nigerians, regardless of our position in society, whether you are an electoral officer or you are a voter or whoever you are, until you tell yourself that, "See, we die here." That's exactly what the woman said. She says that if they are going to kill her for declaring the result, she will declare the results. They can kill her later, but let her declare the result first. And she declared that. And just wakes up and says, "Oh, because of what you did, I'm going to gun you down," right? And God forbid he's gone tomorrow. Whatever she did yesterday will continue to live on, and people will enjoy the benefit. Let's not forget that there was violence. People may have paid sacrifice for what we're enjoying today. That's what I like to tell people, that whatever it is we're enjoying today, there's somebody else that actually paid with it, for it, sometimes with their lives. So we also must be willing ourselves to have the die hard and not agree mentality to do this. Now, quickly, another thing, that when people talk about the faults that are in the current electoral act and everything, I tell people that Kano State got their governor today with the old electoral act. As useless as the electoral act was, Kano State got Gida with that electoral act. So I do not think an electoral act is supposed to be what should allow us to either make the right decision or not. We, the people, we can make this work. So this is probably where, okay, maybe I'll probably ask Madam Aisha when she comes up. I'll just put that on hold for now, because my question is likely for Madam. Thank you very much.
Nnenna, she's up. She's up here. You can ask. She's up
Is
right now.
here.
Yeah, go ahead and ask.
So you can ask your question now. Then when she is done starting her own submission, she will now answer you. Okay.
All right, thank you. I actually was not looking at my screen when I was talking. Thank you very much. I'll ask my question real quick. And this is probably about how we can help how exactly we can help ourselves to, if possible, better coordinate the mobilization. I hear that, I don't know if that is true, that we've extended the registration from, that should have ADC registration from some days ago till is it April 14th. That's what I want to confirm. Number one, and two, how we are or can better help ourselves mobilize more people, right, to, let me use the word, take over the political space, in this case, the party, so that we can have better representation in the primaries, right? Some form of better voter education or party education from the ADC side. Thank you. I yield the mic. I hope that question is understood.
All right. Thank you. Okay, welcome, Madam Aisha. Finally, you're here. Would you like to start with a tribute to? I saw your video earlier. Beautiful, amazing video. Maybe in that spirit, maybe you would like to start with a tribute.
I don't know what happened. I kept coming and going, and unable to also come in. I think in the last 3 years, I've done quite a number of videos, especially on my YouTube channel, talking about Professor Nnenna Otti. The video that was just referred to, I remember watching it, and it's not just the way she said it, it's not just saying it, it's the way she stood, the way she owned the space and her ground, and she made everybody to understand that, hey, if it's to perish, she was ready to put her life on the line. And that also reminds me of what someone had said once, and which really struck me, was when people would say that, oh, this person died for nothing, and she was like, do they understand that whether the person died for nothing or not? Because the person that is ready to put their lives for something didn't die for nothing. It is those of us who are alive who didn't do anything that probably are living for nothing, that assume that when people put their lives on the line, that if anything happens along the way, that, God forbid, like the last speaker said, and something happens, then you say, oh, the person just died for nothing. No, they died for their conviction. And I think Professor Nnenna Otti has defined everything. As far as Okosa, she's the hero of the 2023, election. She stood, she was defiant, and she represented everything that a lot of us do not have in terms of courage, in terms of patriotism, in terms of just ensuring that within under your watch that the right thing is done. And I always say to people, it is not about what is happening in the country, because a lot of people always want to say that, oh, there's nothing that can be done in Nigeria. There's nothing that anyone can do. The system is already rigged. This, that. I know, forget about it. It's not what anybody can do or will not do. It is what is it that you on your own have done where you are to ensure that the right thing was done, and nobody would dare to not do the right thing where you are. And I think Professor Nnenna Otti, exemplified that in just simply. She just exemplified it, and every one of us will see that, there's no any issue of excuses. If you talk about a lot of we've seen a lot of professors, some of them have even been jailed, who went on to rig election for candidates. You see professors who will come to Abuja on in daylight and light everywhere. They will say they can no longer read the figures that are before them, because of course they weren't doing the right thing. And here is this, this amazing lady, this amazing Nigeria, who stood against all odds to insist that the right thing be done. So that for me says everything. And just to also look at it in terms of, looking at political party, for example, I look at ADC, where a lot of people are like, oh no, I can't be in this party because so and so person are there. It's just like, imagine if Professor Nnenna Otti had said she's not going to play the role that she did as a returning officer. She refused to do that because there are so many people who are corrupt who have been doing that. We probably wouldn't have the result that we have in Abia State today. Abia State will not be the beacon of hope that it is today. Abia State has gone from that state that when people were speaking from other states, they were, I beg, please, people are talking, don't bring that Abia State issue. When people talk about debt, and I just heard the speaker who's talked about, the place that used to smell and how it doesn't anymore. When people from other states will speak, Abia State is that kind of state that they say, I beg, please keep quiet. Let us even talk your own. Like in my language, they will say, Atena Takere Hiro Omoluwa, meaning that they are talking talk here and the frog is coming to tell us it doesn't have tail. But today, Abia State is the one that holds its head high. And people like us, for example, to say, no, I don't want to be part of it because most of the people that are there are corrupt. It didn't matter. She went in there and she did what she needed to do. And today we have seen it. So it's the same thing for those who think about, oh, I don't want to be in ADC because so and so people are there. What about you? Why don't you come in and be that, politician that Nigerians want to be? Why don't you come in and do the right thing? Why don't you ensure that where you are, nobody would dare to do something that shouldn't be done? So for me, I think all I have to say to Professor Nnenna Otti, it's gratitude. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for standing. Thank you for fighting for Nigeria. Thank you, for fighting for Abia State. Thank you for being. People don't relate how bad governance kills. Bad governance kills more than wizards and witches. They kill more than principalities and power. They kill more than enemies. They kill more than village people. Most of the things that we attribute to all these other things are actually bad governance, and how just having hospitals that people can go to and be treated has saved lives. Just having roads that were bad that people probably going through would have had an accident, someone would have died, have saved lives. So there are a lot of things that her action has done in improving the lives of the people, in improving the businesses of people, in improving even security in its own way. And that's what it is to be someone who is fearless, who is insistent on the right thing being done. And at the end of the day, she exemplified the fact that die not die, now only one die we get, and anyhow we die be, and so that would be. There's no two ways about it. There are a lot of people who couldn't either be courageous as it is. Some of them have died. It doesn't mean that that if you keep quiet or if you go along that way, that something will not happen to you. And I just hope that every one of us were able to take a little bit from her courage and be able to stand and be patriotic, because that's what patriotism is. Patriotism is not licking the feet of some people, incompetent people or failed people or illegitimate people in power. Patriotism is actually standing and fighting for nation and people, and she did absolutely exemplify that. We thank her very much, and we appreciate her, and I hope more Nigerians are able to see the difference between the system, having a system that works. I mean, for many years, Alex Otti had tried to get into the leadership of Abia State. For many years, he was rigged out, and it took one person standing and insisting the right thing be done for that right thing to be done. And if you look at, if for example, Yakubu Mahmoud, the former INEC chairman, had also played that kind of role in Nigeria, where would we be today? These are some of the things that we should be asking ourselves. And when people feel like giving up on saying that, oh, things will work and whatever, just know that there can always be that one person, and that one person can translate to more people who stand up and ensure the right thing is done, and then goes on to be what is beneficial to the whole country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Aisha. I think we need to look a little closer to what's going on in Abia State to get some deeper insights as to how this is working out and how it's affecting people's lives, especially in the area of economy. So this is one of the reasons why I invited Dr. Nnenna to this conversation, because I know that he has ears on ground. He's an investor. He's always investing. And investors are the ones that can tell you where the economy is going or how well the economy is doing. So, Dr. Nnenna, this is to you. In your assessment so far, in the last 3 years, what can you take as the gains in Abia State in terms of economy, and how that trickles down to the businessman in Abia State, and then to
Okay.
employment availability?
Okay, thank you so much. Before I take on that question, I want to also add to what Aisha submitted. You see, there is this thing now about us in Nigeria. When we adopt the defeatist mentality, we will not succeed. You know, somebody mentioned, which is very, very important, Kano State. If you look at Kano State elected the governor that they wanted because they resisted the rigging antics of APC under the same electoral act that they used to rig River State. River State was rigged mercilessly because people of River State allowed it to happen. The new electoral act is very clear. They created a loophole for them to write a result. And what was that loophole? Oh, if the elections are conducted in polling booth units where you don't have reception, or where you don't have means of transmitting result, then they will carry the result and go to areas where they will receive reception before they will upload it, which is a tricky way of saying we will not transmit real time on time, online on time. Now, it's a loophole that they've created, and it's a loophole that the opposition and those who, every Nigerian who wants free, fair, and credible election can also, plug. And how do you plug that loophole? They know, and there is no part of Nigeria today that you cannot easily provide internet connectivity to allow us transmit real time on time. You ask yourself, how come the Boko Haram and this one, they're able to communicate among themselves even without MTN, Glo, or Airtel powers? We are also aware that with Starlink internet connectivity, every inch of the 920,000 square kilometer of Nigeria is covered. And we also know that with just as little as 500,000, we can install Starlink internet connectivity in each of the poll units. These are people that budgeted over 1.03 trillion for INEC. 100 billion from that amount of money. And you look at, they even provided 200 billion for things that cover with digital and electronics thing and all those. 100 billion is enough to do it. But they won't do it because they have already planned and perfected what they want to do. It's for us citizens not to fold our hands. Okay, oh, they want to rig it. Let's allow them. I am saying this from personal experience. Apart from my father that departed May 20th, 2015, God bless his soul. Something we learned from our father. My father is one person, he is not wealthy, he struggled to raise us. But when he died, the whole community wailed. Truth has died. My poor unit, as young boys then growing up, you cannot rig election in our poor units. In fact, they call us witches. Poor witches. Boys, they won't collect money, they won't allow you to collect, and they won't allow you to rig. In fact, let me tell you what we'll do. 6 of us will station ourselves. You carry the first one, put him in the boot of a car and drive away. The second person will march forward. It was so terrible that even people who are related to us, the deputy governor then was my father's childhood friend. They grew up together, classmates. But because my father felt, despite the fact that we are childhood friends, we grew up, I wouldn't allow you to get election in my poor unit. And he will mobilize us, young boys. We weren't collecting money. We needed the money most because we are so poor that sometimes our neighbors, when they are pawpaw tree, before it will ripe, they will go and pluck it, because if they don't pluck it, we'll go and pluck it ourselves. But there was this value the man inculcated in us. And that value is, there's nothing that is worth defending except the thing that involves life and honesty. And if it means you dying for it, die for it. Once we have that mentality, now just close your eyes and imagine, for those of us who are Christians who read the Bible, there were over 600,000 people that were taken into Babylon. Professors, clergies, bishops, scribes, all manner of people, even those who can read the Torah upside down. But it took only 4 young men to say, we will not be part of this nonsense. We will not switch off IRF. We will not worship this idol. If we die, we die. Every other person bowed. But because of their resistance, the whole thing turned around. And that is what we must allow ourselves. See, I have made up my mind. In my poor unit, I am going to provide Starlink internet connectivity. I will carry it to the place of election. Of course, I have 3. I have what the 4 lines. I have Glow. I have Airtel. I have MTN. I have 9 Mobile. If there is no network on any of them, I will bring out my Starlink. You must upload that result. See, it's not negotiable. And these polling officers they are human beings. Like one INEC commissioner said, former INEC commissioner said, is the poor unit officer that their lives are going to be at risk, because once I have internet connectivity on my phone, you cannot tell me you cannot upload. If you don't have on your own, I will give you hotspot. If you don't want to take my hotspot, I will give you my Starlink. You cannot leave that poll unit until you upload it, whether the police is there or the army is there. So when we develop this mentality, each and every one of us, in our own little corner, because what I've come to understand about Nigerians, a majority of us, the elites, are either cowards, or we are criminally complicit, or we are very, very greedy. Because if you look at even those running around doing all manner of nonsense, it's not as if they are poor. It's not as if that even if most of them decide not to work today, in the next 200 that they will go hungry. But it's greed, that perversion, that wickedness. They are living for nothing, and so they are feasting for anything. So I just want to point out that even as flawed as the new Electoral Act is, if a majority of us decide on our own to do what is right, irrespective of party affiliation, because I believe PDP, ADC, APGA, APC, they are all the same. What we should be looking at are individuals. We should be looking at people per se. If this person is capable of doing this thing, fight for the person. Make sure that, and let me even tell you, free, fair, and credible election. If the whole Nigeria decide to elect devil, and it's very obvious that Nigeria elected the devil, then let them bear the consequences of electing the devil. But where it is unacceptable is where we never elected a devil, and the devil is trying to force itself upon us, and that is why it will not work. That one addressed. Okay, let me address the issue of the economy in Abia State. I have been in Abia State since 2016, and I'm an investment banker, an oil trader. I want to tell you this. Since 2003, I've been involved in funding agriculture. I have been involved in playing actively in the Nigerian capital market and some Southern African capital markets, and globally. There's something I discovered in 2016 that made me to go into agriculture. We had a tank farm. We were doing so well. Things were working so well. One of my mentors decided to sell down his tank farm, everything. And I had a meeting with him, and I wanted to understand the rationale behind what he did. And when the guy explained to me how much turnover he does, no profit, he ends up borrowing and paying banks, the limited number of jobs created within that cycle. And he told me what he's doing in Edo State, that I've created over 1,000 jobs, and that has added so much value. It opened my eyes clear that it's not just enough to drive Lamborghini. It's not just enough to ride Range Rover. It's not just like to have private jets and to just eat and live large. What values are you adding in terms of growing the economy, growing employment and everything? So I decided to call upon my mentors and some of my former employers and people that I respect so much, and we gathered together to form Sefapco. We went to Abia State. That was under the PDP government of Okezie Bazo. To be very fair, Okezie had some smart guys working with him. The current MD of Cameroon Breweries, Austin Ofamba, left his lucrative job as a director in Guinness to take up appointments as the head of the PPP. He worked there 4 years on self-financed. He never collected single salary from the states. He was very passionate about helping the state government to grow and develop through the private sector participation. He was even one of the people that convinced me to bring investment into Abia. We got 850 hectares of land with C of O. We mobilized bulldozers, imported prefabricated factories from Malaysia, set up work to create an agro park that will generate almost 10 billion naira turnover every year. That will create almost about 1,000 jobs. But unfortunately for us, the state government obligation was to protect our lives, our properties, and our assets. They could not do that. We never even understood the fact that there was this issue between Ebonyi and Abia State. The land in question, Abia State got judgment on it through the Supreme Court, which means that it's final, but the people, Ebonyi people refused. We are even paying military men at our half year to come and protect the place. They will come in the morning. We will pay everything. They will leave in the evening. One night, because the state government could not provide security for us, bandits from Eda in Ebonyi State, entered into that farm, used raw acid, destroyed 60 hectares of Cavendish banana, burnt the factory, and they destroyed the bulldozer. Overnight, we lost over 320 million naira on the spot. The state government could not do anything. We folded and we walked away. It was not only us. In another place where the Chinese came to do massive cassava farm, to do ethanol plant, after the Chinese have spent over 170 million, the same insecurity, the Chinese walked away. The state government did nothing. In fact, it was so frustrating. Even Austin was so angry that he resigned and walked away from that government. But thankfully, and I will tell you what happened. When L.S. became governor in Abia State in May 29, 2023, we waited to see what will happen. After the first 6 months, we saw clearly that this man was totally different from what we have had over the last 23 years. And we moved back into Abia State. As I'm talking to you, in Abia State today, we have over 17 brand new tractors working. Nobody's molesting us. Nobody's harassing us. We have over 7 agro parks that we have set up in Abia State. Massive agro parks that we are developing. Nobody's disturbing us. Nobody's molesting us. We have every support of the government. And they are always one call away. If you call the Commissioner for Agric now, one dial, he will pick his call. Everybody, to the Chief of Staff, each and every one of them, they are very, very supportive. And as I'm talking to you now in Abia State, you heard that they signed MOU with Presco to develop 14,000 hectares of palm plantation with the person plan to boot. That is number one. There's the one that we're even doing with them now that will develop 18,400 hectares of agro parks. That one has capacity of its own to do over 300 billion turnover within the next 3 years. And so you can see there is this comfort. If you see the volume of course we are receiving, people are calling us, oh, we are organizing trainings at world levels, because agric is all about knowledge. We've said this thing. The problem we have is that when you don't have a leader who understands business, P2B says it sometimes. One of the problems we have in Nigeria, we have leaders who have never managed anything in their life. They see politics as avenue for them to steal and to loot. So everything about them is what to grab, what to steal, what to loot. And I've said again, the problem of Nigeria is not corruption. There is no country that does not have corruption, even Brazil. But even in the midst of the corruption, they have leaders who are thinking. There was corruption in the First Republic. Remember, it was corruption that made the military guys to strike in 1966. But if you look at the leaders within that corrupt system, Michael Okpara was not corrupt. Tafawa Balewa was not corrupt. Look among those leaders. The Second Republic that failed in 1983, what was the reason that the Dundee, the Rapley gave for breaking that government? It was corruption. But if you look at the leaders of that time, Alex Ekweme was not corrupt. Shagari was not corrupt. Latif Jokonde was not corrupt. Desa Mbeko was not corrupt. And that is why we pray that people will understand the importance of credible, free and fair election that enable us to elect people who have brains. You know, people have not even seen anything beyond agric and agro. Let me tell you, if Alex Otti, by the grace of God, if Nnenna will fight to put Alex Otti till 2031, I'll bet you can mark it and record it today. By the time Alex leaves 2031, the gasification of Abia State will be so wealthy, will be so real, that Abia can generate up to $1 billion every year from the massive gas project that he has planned to put in place. Even the port project that is being planned for Azumini under PPP that will take almost about $2 billion. The frameworks are all ready. And this is because this is a man who has worked across structured environment in the banking industry, not just structured environment. Abia is today enjoying regular power through geometric. Alex Otti made it happen as ED in First Bank and as MD of Diamond Bank. So he understands clearly the importance of putting round pegs in round holes, the importance of what it means to structure deals, the importance of financing, and the importance of having men and women with deep financial and technical capacities. And Alex Otti does not have any godfather who commands him around to employ and put him puppets and morons in place of power and authority. So I am telling you from first-hand experience, we have not even started. What we have planned and what other people see. I run a group remotely from Nigeria. Njiko Holdings is a US SEC listed entity set up by Indigo in diaspora. They are raising over $75 million. They asked me, I told them I will never leave Nigeria. I will not relocate to New York. I will operate here. If you guys are comfortable for me running as your CEO, operating from Nigeria, I am working for them pro bono. I'm not collecting a couple salary. They are mobilizing the fund. And it will shock you that the whole money they are mobilizing, they are heading to Abia State. And that to show you the excitement that is in the air. People are happy. People are excited. Investors are trooping in. Alex Otti has never for one day traveled that he was going to chase investors in Cambodia, in Kuala Lumpur, in Singapore. Alex Otti's good governance framework has made everybody see. Because the vultures are now hovering. And I've said it to myself, and I've said to everyone who cares to listen. Each and every one of us must be ready to put our lives on the line to ensure free, fair, credible election. If the people decide under such an atmosphere to elect the devil, let the devil rule. Just like they did in the old, when they decided to vote for Barabbas against Jesus Christ before Pontius Pilate. Let it be that the people chose for themselves. But if
I can't hear Doc anymore. I don't know if it's just me.
Neither can I. I can't hear him anymore. Maybe he got a call or something. But while we wait for him to...
no, I'm here. I am
Okay.
here. I am here.
Okay, you can wrap
I
up
am
this
here.
one. We can wrap up this one so we can bring another question to you. Or to Madam Aisha or Peter. Any of them.
Every one of us every one of us must be ready to make the supreme sacrifice to ensure that free, fair, and credible election happens in 2027, even under the current electoral act. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mark, take it from me.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Thank you very much, Doc. That was quite succinct. We appreciate that. Um, I want to ask a question to Peter. Peter, I want to ask you this question. Um, in a country of ours that is uh, widespread of insecurity, um, in the electoral act, don't you think there should be um, a way, or there should be some kind of input where those electoral essential workers, security men, and all those other electoral personnel should vote, even if it's maybe an hour or two before election proper commences? Don't you think there should be a mandatory voting voting time or voting scheme for those electoral special election workers? because thinking about it, those are votes that can also count and can also sway the result. Like some journalists, they tell you they don't vote. They tell you they because they are part of the people covering the election, they don't vote. The people, the security police officers will say, "Oh, we are not allowed to vote," or civil servants. I think we need to look into that. What is your take on that?
Thank you very much. I think you're absolutely correct. The reality is that the entire drama around this electoral act has all been a careful orchestration from the beginning. There is no appetite to give you any document that will guarantee free and fair elections holistically. It was part of the issues raised when they talked about persons who are essential workers having early voting, because we have more than almost 200,000 police officers in Nigeria. We have people who are medical officers who sometimes are on duty on election day. We have journalists and all of that. But look at the mischief of politicians. One of the first considerations was ensuring that inmates in Nigeria prisons will be able to vote. And according to them, they said it is a court order coming from Edo State in Benin and all that. And then when we asked during the public hearing, should we get a court order that will mandate the National Assembly to make sure there is mandatory transmission real time of election result without proviso? They said, oh, we are not sure that that can happen. So in all of this, it has all been considerations. But the truth of the matter is, as we have said earlier, they document that if we went by just the Electoral Act in 2022, we should have free and fair elections, because good laws are as good as the people who implement them. Any document that is handed over to Nigerians, the question is, what do we want to make out of them, lemons or lemonades? Once this is done now as a people, we can use it to get the kind of leaders that you want to, if the people are ready to come out en masse to vote. But if you decide to be discouraged about provisions that are or are not, then it begins to play into their normal plan, which is to ensure voter apathy. Because what part of the reason why they will continue to ensure that essential workers are not engaged, especially law enforcement officers, is so that these law enforcement officers continue to believe that they are not a part of the process, and it becomes easier for them to be weaponized against the process. Once they know that they are part of it and their votes count, they become less incentivized to being used as tools to rig. But once they know that it is not our thing, election now when they do and now when they go there, so they become willful tools to use to undermine the process. So all of that is a deliberate plan. The whole confusion of pushing electoral act into 2026, manipulations thrive in the midst of confusion. But I just want to continue to urge Nigerians to know that with the current electoral act, which by the way we have not heard the end of it, because we're still having conversations because of the fasting and Ramadan, we decided to hold on and all. Be that as it may, in 2027 Nigerians have a document that they can use to drain the swamp and insist on getting good leaders. It is up to the people. In 1993, when there was election, there was no electronic transmission of result. Somehow Nigerians did what they needed to do. In 2023, there was an electoral act. Kanu got a governor they wanted. Rivers was rigged out because the people decided to permit it. What you permit is what will be sustained. It is up to all of us. I yield. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you very much. And this takes me to my next question to you. Do you
Yeah,
think?
hello.
Yeah,
Yeah, before you go to your next question,
yeah. Go ahead,
hello, can you
Aisha.
hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, please. I'll allow you.
Okay. Uh, be- m- Before you go to your next question, just to in addition to what Peter Aka has said, uh, so the question there should be, right? There should be essential, just like having essential workers being able to vote, early voting, and all of that. Yes, that's the question. It should be, but the question also is who is going to do it. And so I'm going to bring it back to where the people were into the people's hands to say first and foremost is the fact that For everything that you take responsibility of, for any problem that you take responsibility of, this solution to that problem then now comes to you. But if you leave it only in the hands of others, you will never get, you will not have the solution to that problem. It then will be invested in the person that you've left that problem to. So the biggest question in all of this is that what are Nigerians doing to ensure that the people that get into the National Assembly or the state houses of assembly are people who care enough to give laws that are needed in Nigeria? One of the things that you hear a lot of people, talk about, you hear things like, oh, activists are not supposed to be politicians. Oh, advocates are not supposed to be politicians. Nigerians have people who we use their right to speak for them, but they will refuse to give them authority for them to speak. So if you want to have these laws where in certain ways, then you must vote in people and ensure that people who get in there are people who are going to do those particular things. Most of the time, we are fixated with, the executive part of governance. We forget the legislative arm of governance, and the legislative arm of government is the bedrock of democracy. They are the people who make laws. They have oversight function. They're supposed to hold the executive, accountable. They ratify treaties. They are also, when it comes to appointments, they are the ones who confirm appointments and all of that. So they make laws. They have a lot of responsibilities, and they are more powerful than the executive. I used to feel that, okay, the difference is that the executive have more money, until it was pointed out to me, which is actually factual, that until and unless the legislative arm approve the budget, the executive wouldn't even have those monies that they spend. But how many times do we really sit down to be intentional in the kind of people that we send to the legislative arm of government? Most time we don't care. And so what you have is a bunch of people who ordinarily shouldn't be in the legislative arm of government. They are the ones who are there. And most of the time they think that their duty is just to clap for the executive, or just go ahead with whatever it is that the executive wants. So if we want all of this, which is very important, early voting, that's the early voting. You're supposed to have all of these people. Let everybody be able to vote there, or not just even early voting. You're talking in terms of even the diaspora. We have a lot of people in the diaspora that have been disenfranchised, and these are people who send in, who contribute so much to the economy of Nigeria. At one time, Nigeria was really dependent on monies that are being sent in, by Nigerians in diaspora. And you're thinking of these remittances come to the place of about 3 to 4% of the GDP. They contribute to that. I remember, was it around during former President Buhari's regime, that they had something they were doing where CBN was even offering them some payback money. If you send so and so money to Nigeria, you're going to get so and so, additional something, because Nigeria needed those monies. But you find out that Nigerians in diaspora, where they contribute so much, economically, but when it comes to political power, they have zero. They can't vote. They can't do any of those things there. Even sometimes, like we saw in I think this is the 10th Assembly, in the 9th Assembly, where they had even sent in a petition to the House of Representatives, and the then Deputy Speaker, who was chairing the House that day, would say that, oh, they didn't have a right for them, for their petition to be heard, since they don't live in Nigeria, until there was an uproar from the citizens, and that whole thing was changed. So as much as we are talking about, all of these things being done, we also have to take responsibility in the kind of people that we send. I know one of the arguments that people do talk about a lot is that, 2023, a lot of people were voted into the legislative arm on the platform of Labour Party. What then happened after a while? They went to other parties. But then, like I always point out to people, they were beneficiaries. They were there. They were beneficiary of a movement that happened. They were beneficiary of a support to someone. It's not as if we, the citizens, sat down and chose and looked for candidates that we knew that we needed to vote for, candidates with competence, character, capacity. So these are people who were opportune to be at the right place at the right time, and they were able to get on with it. So when people talk about, the fact that they have changed or anything, but the question I always ask is that, were you the ones that first of all picked them out, that were deliberate. And now as we go into 2027, we're also making the same mistake. We're only fixated on the executive arm, who becomes president, who becomes governor. We are not looking at who are going to be the members of the National Assembly, who are we sending to Senate, who are we sending to, House of Representatives, who are we sending to, state houses of assembly. If, for example, we as citizens, we sit down to say, okay, let's even look for at least one senator from the 36 states and Abuja, say, let's choose those we know with competence, character, capacity, with courage. Because being in the National Assembly, you must have courage. You must have patriotism. You must be ready to stand for the people. You must be ready to be on the hot seat. You must be ready to, just like what Professor Nnenna Otti did, you must be ready to put your life on the line to stand for Nigeria. And we say, okay, let's get these people into the Senate, and then we'll see the kind of laws they make. They will be able to stand their ground. If we have like 37 of that, that's a critical number. Even if it's not up to 37, we end up getting 15, 20 something. That's a critical number that we form a critical mass of saying, no, ours is to stand for Nigeria. It's not the what we are going to get or what someone is going to say, or being afraid of who happens to occupy, the Aso Rock. But no, being there for Nigeria, having the authority, apart from the constitutional right to speak, but also having the constitutional authority to speak on behalf of the people. And then if you look at that and say maybe you do maybe 3 or per House of Representative members from the 36 states, and okay, there's two House of Rep members in Abuja. Let's say even the 36 states, and then one or two from Abuja. You're going to have critical number over 100, and so that on its own, we begin to form that critical mass of people who are speaking courageously for Nigeria. And the way things are, human beings. There is when you see some. There's something about numbers when a critical mass is talking and standing on certain things, standing for Nigerians, and Nigerians are solidly behind them. Then you begin to see even those who were not standing for Nigeria will begin to have courage. Because on a very serious note, there are people even in this 10th assembly that we have today who have the courage, all would have had the courage, but because there is no support from we the citizens, their voices have been drowned. They are not heard at any time. And I will give you an example. You saw, can't remember his name now. Someone remind me of his name. The PDP, I think the PDP senator, is it Ninkim? Who spoke out and talked about that there was padding of the budget. What happened? He was suspended for a period of time. What did we do as Nigerians, for him? We saw Senator Natasha also, who was also suspended. As Nigerians, what did we really do? And this has been something that has gone on over time, where people, lawmakers who stand for Nigeria, lawmakers who speak up, who are courageous, are abandoned by Nigerians when they are being punished by those people who are in the National Assembly or state houses of assembly. Even where the court has said, look, here, you guys don't have a right to suspend this person, but we don't do anything. So over time, we also have been contributors, whether actively or passively, in shutting down the voices of people who actually speak up in the National Assembly. So these are also some of the things, that we also need to take responsibility for and begin to say, what are we going to do as we go into 2027 to correct all of this? Before I just yield the mic, I think there was a question that I was asked earlier
about
where
ADC.
somebody talked about extended registration to April 14. So the thing is this: the registration was never stopped at any time. What happened, and as you go on, it's not that it's going to be stopped, but this is what happened. Because there is the electoral access, the new electoral access, there has to be 21 days to either party, primaries, congress, or convention, under which either 21 or more days, you have to send in the register. So at certain time, the register is taken and then it's submitted, it's given to INEC. when that register is taken, if your name is not on that register, then you cannot participate in that particular event that is happening, be it Congress, primaries, or convention. For example, there's going to, I think the ADC is going to start its convention, its congresses from 7th. And so what then happens is that for those who are registering now, who have registered after the cutoff, the date for that, they will not be able to participate in the Congress. They will not vote and be voted for, but they will still have time to vote and be voted for going into the primaries. And the primaries, so around April either 15, 16, 17, that's where there's going to be, the register is going to be taken again and sent, to INEC. So anybody that falls out of that again will not then be able to participate. It doesn't mean that the registration closes. People can still go ahead and register. The last day for all congresses, primaries, and convention to be concluded is actually May 30th. And it starts April, I think it's April 23rd, if I'm not mistaken. But having said that, also is to say to everyone, because I see a lot of people, with all of this permutation, there is a lot of analysis paralysis. There is a lot of conspiracy theory issue. There is a lot of analyzing here and there, what will happen, what will not happen, this, that. At this moment, for every one of us citizens, and I say this with all sense of responsibility, our business at this moment, our focus is not even on APC, it's not on Tinubu, whatever they're doing, however, because I see a lot of people, will they allow this? These are the, no, that's not your focus right now. Your focus is how do you ensure that your candidate, gets the ticket of ADC. That's what the eye on the ball should all be about. And what action are you taking to ensure that happens? Have you registered in the party? Are you calling on others to register? I see a lot of people who are like, oh no, I'm not going to register. I'm not sure my candidate is going to get. How will you get it if you don't get in there? How? You have to be in there. Yes, with the Electoral Act, the way it is right now, it's a landmine for opposition. A lot of things are put in place to ensure that the opposition does not succeed. That's what it is. But in it also, there are also things that you will do to your own advantage. So that thing that was put in to destroy you will not be something that you will use to build yourself. And one of them is the fact that it is no longer delegate primaries that we have. It's going to be either consensus or a direct primaries. What does consensus? The act is saying that consensus would mean that all declared aspirants, they write written to say that they've dropped out of the race and they are accepting this particular consensus candidate. Where one person says, no, I no agree, I'm not doing, but you understand? When one person says that, then there has to be, primaries, which is what is as it's ascertained by the party, the way it is going to be done. And then what then these direct primaries? There has to be direct primaries. What does these direct primaries portray? It means that everybody who registers on the as an ADC member is automatically a delegate. So it's no longer the fact that, a few people are going to be carried as delegates and then some people that will use money against them. And no, that's no longer the case. The case now is that you have opportunity to be direct a delegate. So go on and use it. And so just finally on this particular point to say also that the issue, I like what people have said. Kano were able to ensure that they had a candidate, even though in 2019 that candidate had won, were rigged out. They said no, they are not going to be rigged out again in 2023. So sometimes there is a certain kind of learning that you learn from an experience that has happened. And I've said this before. I said 2023 they rigged us. Shame on them. If 2027 again we allowed them to rig us, then it will be shame on us. It's no longer shame on them. It's shame. It will be shame on us. That was the same thing that had happened in Kano. 2019 they were rigged out. They were clearly leading until they stopped the election, came back, and then a lot of things went on. There were even places where they were using dogs to put them in polling units to chase other people away. So when it came to 2023, kind of people were like, nah, we've seen this before. It's just like what happened. We saw the, just to digress a little bit, the AFCON that happened. By the time Morocco, Nigeria played, I mean, Senegal were able to see what was done to Nigeria to say, now we are learning from this. So some say some things that happen, you learn from them and you get better.
Yeah.
Why am I saying this? Out of this
Madam Aisha.
moment, all of us, I will just round up
Okay.
now. Let me just, on this point, as of this moment, you understand, we look at that because I heard there was a mention of the electronic transmission of results. As of this moment, every one of us should put it that there's nothing like electronic transmission of result. There's going to be manual. Because of that caveat that was put in, that in case if the whatever determines there's no internet, then they can do that, automatically negates it. The last time we were waiting for IREF, that never happened. So if everybody puts it in the mind that look, it's manual, we will come out, we will vote, we will escort it to where we are escorting it to. From your polling unit, what does it take? It's 24, 48 hours, not more than that. We suffer for 4 years. We can at least give our 48 hours. You will all go out, we vote, we are watching and ensuring that you write the right result there. We've seen it, paper or whatever, you put it in. We will follow you to the World Collation Center. From the World Collation Center, we are going to the local government collation center. From the local government collation center, when you are done, we go to the state collation center and we come to national. Let everybody escort their materials from where they are. Borno is usually the one that comes last. Let the people of Borno follow and come, so that everybody is ensuring that those results are good. And for those who feel that, oh, this, that, one of the things that I've said, that what is the best day to even do revolution is on election day. Nobody get work, nobody they go anywhere. We are already all at home. So you're not going to block load for anyone. So let's all stand there. If the result don't go that way, we kukuma do the revolution and we'll be going on. What is not acceptable is for people to sit down and be saying, this will not happen, conspiracy theory, this and that, and they do nothing. Out of this moment, go and get in the people to register. Simple as ABCD. Between now and the next election, you can get in millions of more people to enter and
All
register
right.
and vote for your candidate. Thank
All
you.
right, Madam Aisha.
All right, thank you very
Take
much.
a breather.
All
Take
right,
a
go
breather and
ahead.
drink some water. I think we at this point we should take more questions. If you're in the audience and you would like to engage our guests, we've been on this conversation with Madam Aisha Yusufu, Peter Aka, and Dr. Nemeka Obiareri. We're talking about the impact of credible elections in honor of Professor Nnenna Otti, with highlights on Abia State, and then we're pivoting to elections in general in Nigeria. So if you have any questions in relation to all of this conversation, please bring it in. Request the mic, or if you're already on the panel, raise your hand so we can engage you. We have Jack was here before. I can't find him anymore. Okay, what's the order now? Okay, if you have
Yeah, I
spoken,
think it dropped.
I think
Okay, revolution is supposed to go.
okay. After revolution,
Now
got one.
revolution has been here. Yeah, and then we'll go from there.
Okay,
So guys,
please,
hang tight,
please, if you've
please.
spoken already, you might want to drop so we can bring in more people. We want to have more people come and engage the guests. That's why we have them here. You know. Okay, revolution,
Okay, good
revolutionary
evening.
youth.
Yes, I'm here. I'm Mercy actually.
Mercy Cohen.
So good evening everyone. Good evening, comrade. Good evening, our speaker. So I'm going to be speaking from a personal experience because I'm an Abian, and the topic of tonight's discussion is impact of credible elections in honor of Professor Nnenna Otti. So prior to now, before this election and Alex Otti, we've never been proud, never really been proud of saying we are from Abia State. It's my personal experience. So I schooled at Anambra, and at the time, if you say you are, it was like a banter. We are talking, and someone from Abia State is talking. So 24 years in Abia State was horrible. It got it's someone was saying there is no worst. It keeps getting bad. It keeps getting bad. So the last, my mom works with Abia State government. The last government before the Alex Otis government, she was a civil servant, but we were actually contributing money because they were owing them up to 18 months. And this is something, it's something that happens all the time. They will go on strike. They are health workers, though, essential workers. So for you to know how bad this was, they will go on strike, they will be reprimanded, they will come back, no payment. It was just back and forth and back and forth. Talking about Abba, I hated going home. I hated going home. As a matter of fact, that's why I relocated to Enugu. After my year in school in Anambra, I couldn't see myself going back to Abia State. I came to Enugu, not knowing anybody, just coming to Enugu to see if I could get a job and survive. That was how bad I dreaded traveling. Because whenever I travel home, I must fall sick with the kind of malaria, because there is water everywhere. The gutter is dirty, mosquitoes. When you want to pay rent in Abia, you will ask the mosquito in your house, please contribute because you are an inmate. It was that bad. So I decided I wasn't going to go home. I was going to go to Enugu. And thank God I came to Enugu, actually. So the thing is, when Alex, because of one woman, because of Professor Nnenna Otti, I'm actually very emotional, because this is something that is personal to me. It's personal to my family. When Dr. Alex Otti came on board, he started clearing that areas. He started clearing. There are videos, there are clips of people who actually worked for their money, jubilating, shouting, singing, because somebody was paying them what is due them. We are not even talking of something that's supposed to be an extra. So he started paying off, and unfortunately for some people, especially somebody like my mom, they were retiring, because when he came, he increased the pay, and he was paying off, but they were already retiring in 2023/2024. But something happened. The government, they had an evaluation, especially of these health workers. So people who had their licenses, people who were still strong to continue work, and after whatever, they were reintegrated into the service for another 5 years. So my mom was fortunate enough to get it. So a lot of people got it because he came, he increased the salaries, he paid off the debt, and he felt like these people have suffered enough, and they were just retiring at the verge of the breakthrough. So he gave that window. It has never happened before in Abia State. This is the very first time. He gave that window. If you're still strong enough, if your license is still up, you can get back into the service. And my mother today is back into the service for another 5 years. So now this Easter, I've already told my dad, please, I'm coming home. And he's like, are you serious? Why Enugu? I was thinking that Enugu people have carried you. But people now want to come home. I now want to say I'm from Abia State. And all this thing was possible because somebody stood and said, if I perish, I perish. Push me, I stand. Akwa akporo. So I don't know what else I can say. I don't even know what to say. I don't know that woman personally, but I'm eternally grateful to her, because you know how painful it is seeing your mom working and she's not getting anything. Even you, as somebody who is starting life, you're trying to send something to someone who's supposed to be sending you money. Someone who is an officer in charge of a health center, of a primary health center, someone who has been working for almost 30 years, but you're sending the little money back because the government cannot pay that person, and the person cannot agitate, because if you agitate, they will bring you back, they will reprimand you. So there was nothing like going on strike. You will go to strike, you will come back, you will beg to come back by yourself. But today, I know we are not where we are supposed to be, but I can tell you there is tremendous change. The people, civil service, I was called to come and work in the local government of Abia State. I said never, I wouldn't do it. I got an opportunity to get into government in Abia State. I said I wouldn't do it. I prefer to stay here in Enugu, because how will you come and get into work when they're not paying your mom? So you want to come and add your own to her own. So, but today it's a different story, and I am so grateful. And I urge everyone, we can be Nnenna Otti in our different capacities. What is on ground now is let's register into this party, because we need to get our person there. Because no matter how the resolve of Nnenna Otti was, if Alex Otti was not a good person, we'll be suffering that one now. So it's not enough to say, oh, we need Nnenna Otti. We need the right person, so that when the right person plus an Nnenna Otti, then we are there already. So this is my contribution. I want to say thank you to Professor Nnenna Otti. At least nobody is complaining, nobody is whining in my ear. Everybody is happy, and it's a new dawn in Abia State. Thank you so much.
Indeed, indeed, it's a new dawn. We have another Abia State person here, an Abian. That's how they call it. God's will. God's will. Take it up. You have the floor.
Okay, they won't know. So mine is just almost the same mirror image of what Revolutionary you talked about. So I'm from Abia State. Um, so during just before my youth service, when I graduated mechanical engineering in Nigeria, um, my mom was sick for 3, 4 years prior. So during her sickness, she was even sick while I was in final year trying to finish my project. So she was sick. I went, I started my youth service. And towards the end of my youth service, we had burned through a huge amount of family savings and family wealth just to be able to. And the worst thing was that, we tried all the hospitals, we tried all the churches, all the prayer houses. And the worst thing is that every month, every day, she kept getting worse and worse, regardless of what. I mean, we did hundreds and hundreds of tests. And every place we go and do another test. We do another 50 tests. We come back, they give us a list of beds, we buy, nothing changed. Just keep getting worse and worse and worse for 3, 4 years. And then just about as I was about to finish my NYSC, um, she passed away. As she passed away, first of all, that devastated me because as as the Okmara, as the first son, my bond with my mom was really, really close. And she passed away in my arms because I remember for those of us, um, you know, that have that relationship with your mom, she died in my arms. And the worst thing was that in the hospital, there was no light. I can still remember vividly that day. It's almost more than 2 decades right now. There was no light. There was no, it was dark. And she was fading away. And I was holding her in my arms, screaming, you guys do something, do something, do something, do something. All the doctors and nurses were standing, they couldn't do nothing. There was no light, there was no nothing. It was like, it was so ungraceful the way everything just ended. And realistically, I just wanted to go with her. And that trauma stayed with me since then. And it's been dogging me and dogging me and dogging me up to this saying that, okay, so when my dad started getting sick, I said, okay, you know what? I'm fortunate to be here in the US. I can't let the same thing happen to my dad. And we've been trying the same thing, doing the tests, hospitals, prayer houses, churches, and it wasn't working. I said, no, I'm not going to do this. Now I have the means. I have the wealth, I have the money. So I flew him, put him in a private hospital in the US. And within 6 months, this is somebody that has been undergoing treatment for more than 3 years. And it was getting worse. But soon as he got to the United States, within 6 months, this guy recovered, became strong. And he stayed with me for almost 2 years in the US. But then he started getting lonely. He needed to, he started getting lonely, he started missing the family, because he's the opera two of the firstborn of the family, just like I am. So he keep on telling me, hey, I need to go home, I need to be with my people, I need to spend time, I'm missing home. And I said, okay. So I took him from the US, took him, hold him by the hand, and we went all the way. I settled him at home, make sure he settled. But as I was leaving, I knew it was the last time I'm going to see him because I knew the healthcare system in Nigeria was not good enough for to support, to support anybody. Everybody is just one sickness away from death. And lo and behold, as I came back to the United States, 6 months later he passed away. But I was confident, I was reassured that at least he was able to, I was able to spend some time with him. But here's the point I'm trying to make. Throughout this period, I have been carrying the pain of the loss of my mom. I've been carrying the pain so that I said, okay, and that's what kind of pushed me into politics. I said, look, I would not let the trauma that happened to me happen to somebody else. I wouldn't let the hopelessness that I experienced happen to any other Nigerian. And everything I've been pushing is about good governance so that you can put together health infrastructure and let people get basic health care. That is one of my biggest pet peeve. But lo and behold, Dr. Oti came out. Dr. Oti. allowed us to have the blessings of Governor-elect Otti. And my family and I, as Okpara, have been discussing with my younger brother, Chibuzo, who most of you know is the general overseer of OPM. I said, look, healthcare is a very important thing. In Igbo proverb, there's an Igbo proverb that says, a child that does not pay attention to what happened to his parents or what led to the death of his parents, that problem will befall him. And for me, as Okpara, every time I step my foot into Nigeria, I always have this fear that I'm going to be one sickness away and I might not be able to make it back to the United States to get proper medical care and I will die in Nigeria. That's always been my fear. So, as soon as we have Dr. T, I had a chat with my kid brother, Chibuzo. I said, look, we have to put a healthcare system. I don't care what it is. We have a huge family property, a huge family land. Let's invite Dr. T to build us a general hospital, even if it's in a family property. So we agreed. So he gave Governor T, 100 plus of land, family land. And as I can tell you right now, Governor T was in my village a couple of days ago. 100 plots. This hospital is going to be 100 bed hospital, general hospital, ultra modern hospital. So for this, since Governor T went to my village to commission this, for some reason, all the burdens that I've been carrying from my mother's death, the trauma, the whole sleeplessness that I've been experiencing for more than 2 decades completely vanished because I felt a relief that at last I can always come home and not have to fear that what happened to my parents will eventually happen to me. So I encourage everybody, good governance is a life changer, it's a game changer. I don't know about you guys, but I'm actually experiencing my good governance as we speak. This ultra-modern hospital is going to be in my family compound, And me and my family are covered. We're going to benefit from this. I don't know about you guys. It's time we begin to stand and demand for good governance so that we can also benefit from the dividends of democracy, of good governance. And it is good, and it's something that I encourage everybody to do. 2027 is a deadline. Uh, Aisha Yusuf has constantly hammered on the need for us to get involved. Every time you see any narrative being given that, oh, we can't help it, Tinubu is going to win 2027, please know that that is a propaganda that is trying to demoralize you from actually actively participating in the election of 2027. We need to stand and demand that our votes must count. And the only way we can do that is if we get into the fight. You can't demand from the outside. You can't demand from outside the ring. For you to win the battle, you have to jump into the ring and then fight like hell. And that is how you can get victory. Thank you.
Oh, that's very touching. That's very touching. This one came personal. Okay, let's move forward. Now we're going back to the speakers. So take it away. So
I'm not really a speaker. I'm just here to
no,
help moderate.
yeah.
I think.
Do you want to engage the speakers? What
Oh
we're
no
trying
no
to
no no
do.
no! I
Okay.
do have something I want to say to Aisha because there was something that resonates with me, and amazingly, she has hinted on this thing twice.
Okay.
Once on Donald Space, and now she's saying it again. I just think it's something divine. Maybe we can expand on that at some point. If she has to do it now, that would be fine. The fact that, that election day is a very good day to protest. Honestly, I mean, what else? I mean, no one's going to stop anybody from coming out. How we leverage on that becomes a little bit significant, honestly. And I think there's something there. I think there's something we can leverage from that day if we get organized based on that, because that's a perfect day to just, we're outside already. So why don't we just come out in that critical mass that we're looking for? That's the day that is going to happen. If everybody has the intention, like we said, to just come out and show this critical mass, I think that will send a clear message. But how we package that and how we deliver it, I just think there's something there. But other than that, I don't want to digress at this point in time. But I needed to release that energy so we can probably come up with something going forward. Other than that, brilliant take, God's will, and I'm so glad that you're finding this inspirational as well to leverage of what has happened to your dad and enable us to push forward. Thank you.
Honestly, God's win story is inspiring. I mean, it took me in a different direction in terms of how I see governance and good governance and the impact of incredible elections, because I never thought about it in this way. There are some things you want to see happen in your locality or in your community, but because you don't have good governance, you can't even dream of making it happen. But now you can, because you have a good governor, or a very, very competent governor who knows what he's doing, who understands solutions, who can receive solutions and do something with it. It's amazing
Yeah,
to have. It's like being.
yeah,
It's like
but
when you.
his impact is there. Sorry, the impact is there. So it's a template. It's just
Yeah.
how we capitalize on it
Let me
without belief. The
let me
template
come.
is there.
Let me come to you, Dr. Nemeka. Still on economy, because Abba happens to be the commercial nerve of the Southeast, and having Alex Otti at the helm now, he understands finance very well. He understands what the businessman is dealing with. And I mean, as a banker, they always came to him for loans. So he understands this very well. How do you think this has impacted broadly on the business of the common man in Abba, based on your own assessment?
Let me tell us what we must appreciate here. Before, I told you, we have investments across the 3 zones in Abia State. Before now, to do a trip from Umuahia to Okwambore in Ohafia or to Ugweke in Bende takes almost 2 hours. Now you can do that journey in 1 hour. Even OUK confirmed it. OUK confirmed that since he left the government house, but it was the first time he even did a trip of 1 hour from Umuahia. The video is circulating. And outside the fact that LX has done a lot to improve the road infrastructure, he's not just a governor who is doing infrastructure. He is also trying to create the enabling environment, secured environment for people to come into Abia. Abia is one of the most secure states in the south. Remember that there was even a time they wanted to import on non-government to Abia State. And Abia dealt with them the way they should be dealt with. And you cannot try the nonsense because everybody is behind their governor. So basically what he has done is to open up Abia State for investors to come in. And let me explain to you why investors are trooping into Abia State. I'll give you an example. It is very difficult now to connect one city to the other in the south. I have a rice mill in Kubwa. Let me tell you, this one particular that will shock you. It cost me average of 4,000 naira to move a bag of 50 kg of rice from my mill in Kubwa to our warehouse in Owerri. Average of 4,000 naira to move 50 kg bag of rice. But it cost us average of 8,000 naira to move the same 50 kg bag of rice from our Owerri warehouse to Ututu Arochukwu in Abia State. A distance of less than 200 kilometers. Why? Because of the fact that before Alex came to power, and in fact, kudos also to the governor of Imo State, because before, from Owerri to Arochukwu, you meet a lot of potholes and other things. But Hope of them have done the road from Owerri all the way to Umuahia, and the Alex are taking it from that place to these other locations. Now, basically, because the road infrastructure has been done, what are we doing? What is the role of the investor? Because of this thing that we have encountered, what we are doing is very simple. When you see a problem, you provide solutions. Now we have road infrastructure that is very, very clear. What we are doing now is we are bringing haulage trucks, 9-way haulage trucks, 5-way haulage trucks. We are rolling them into Imo, into Abia State. Rather than moving a bag of rice from Owerri to Arochukwu, 8,000, we can now comfortably do it for 2,000 locations. Kudos to the governors who have done the road. Because the roads have been done, I am now encouraged as an investor and other investors to bring in haulage trucks. So this is one of the benefits when you have good governance or good governors in place doing the right thing. And then the issue of power, you know, power has been, because there's something I just said, which most of us are not looking at. There's this always over concentration of, oh, the Abuja, the presidency, but we're not looking at the governors, we're not looking at the legislators. Abia State is not the only state that has some of the discourse operating within their domain. Remember, one of the reasons why Geometric did not take off 8 years after they got their license was the issue of the interstate owned by Emeka for refusing to give them they allow them to ring-fence Abia, Aba, and the other 9 local government areas. The first thing LS Otti did, as a governor who understands the importance of power, was to buy out the interstate franchise over Aba and over other part of Abia State. Today, you can see what he's trying to do to ensure that power circulates in Abia State. The issue of gas, every one of us on this space understand clearly that 40% of the gas reserve in Nigeria is domiciled in Abia State. Imo has the highest gas reserve. If you go to Abia State now, there are a lot of gas wells that we are capped. And what is a gas well? For most of you who don't understand, there are 2 ways you can extract gas. Either associated gas when you're removing crude oil, or non-associated gas, which comes by drilling the gas well. And of course, because most oil producers were busy focusing on crude oil, sometimes when they drill a well and they did not get the kind of crude quantity, they will cap it. Abia State governments that have been governors before LS, because LS understands the importance of gas. He's now partnering with Petan and other private sector investors to see how those gas wells now will be uncapped to process gas in different forms. That is the importance. And when there is gas in Abia State, and if you watch how funny it is, despite the fact that Imo and Abia has up to 6% of the gas of in Nigeria, most of the gas pipe projects were channeled to other parts of Nigeria outside Imo, outside Abia State. What Alex has done now, using his private sector experiences, is to ensure that the gas wells are being utilized, gas projects are being done, so that by the time we have this gas infrastructure in place, just like we have in Abia State now, the Ano 1, Imo now, Ano 1, Ano 2, a lot of industrial complexes will spring up using gas as feedstock. And not forgetting the fact that there is an airport that is coming up in Abia State. Not forgetting the fact that you understand clearly 40% of all the cargoes that come into Nigerian ports, especially in Apapa, ends up in the southeast and south. Is on the pipeline now for him to do a river port that will enter into Azumini. And people don't understand. Any state can do it. You know, we are shouting, oh, Tinubu went to UK to borrow $749 million pounds to develop Apapa and all those stuff. The governors can also do it, and I'm sure Alex already put it in place. Go and, like I said, go and mark it somewhere. Within the next 5 years, a river port will come up in Abia State. It's a $2 billion project, and it will be done under a PPP arrangement that will shock everybody. It will interest you that from the Atlantic coast into Azumini is shorter than any other entrance, even to Apapa. So we have a governor who is already putting in place things, and investors are already seeing it. And they are trooping in, they are setting up shops. Today, on the 25th of March, one of the biggest breweries in Nigeria will be opened. The biggest brewery there, Cameroon Breweries, they are building a brewery in Osioma. It will be commissioned March 25th. That brewery project took almost about 35 billion naira. Alex Otti is the governor that will commission it. You can see the excitement that is in the air. So that is why we beg. It's not just to focus on Abuja. In 2027, those who will become governors, those who will go to National Assembly, House of Rep and Senate, those who will go to the state assemblies must be people that has capacity, people that have the confidence, people that have the guts, people that can look the governor in there. Do you know that I was telling somebody, I said, in Imo State today, we have 27 local government areas. If we have 16 legislators who are courageous, who understand their job, the governor cannot do anything without getting the approval. They will impeach him. But the problem is that because most of us do not understand the importance of electing credible and competent and the very, very courageous men at different layers of powers. That is why we are where we are today.
Amazing. Amazing. Let's take more questions before okay, this maybe anybody can direct any question to anybody, any of the speakers. I think Peter Aka is not here at the moment. I don't know what happened. Maybe he got a call. So let's take a question from James. James Carlo. James, you have the floor.
Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
All right. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak on this space. My own is not really a question. I just want to re-emphasize on what a lot of people have been saying. Um, I was born and raised in the north, Bauchi State. I relocated to Abia State in 2006. That was when I came in. That was when Ojuzo was the election to bring in theology. That was 2027, 2007. That was when he came in. And so I'm one of the person who experienced the 8 years of theology and then the 8 years of Ipazu government. I schooled in Michael Okpara University of Agriculture. I studied animal production and management. That was in Kasap. And then from 2015, I started driving keke. I drove keke in Umaya for about 8 years before I finally left. Before I left in 2023, after the election, after Alex Otti was declared the winner, that was when I left because of failures and a lot of things that have happened that I may not have time to start explaining here. But what I want to say is what I experienced during the 2023 election. My polling unit is in Kata Primary School, Bende Road, polling unit 2. Anybody that stays in Umaya know exactly what I'm saying. The location I'm talking about is very close to police headquarters. And that particular place is a PDP stronghold. When I mean a PDP stronghold, I'm I'm talking of TOG Pekin. I own that place. Then Uba Primary School and also Community School. Uba Primary School is at before Eket by Bende Road, and then Community School is at Eket by Niger Road. Now, all of these places I am telling you that was PDP stronghold. I mean, TOG son owned these places. He lost all of those places. Why? On the day of that election, when we came out to vote, all the young boys that they used to give money, especially the PDP guys, I was shocked. This thing I'm telling you happened right before my eyes. They all came out and they said, please permit me to say it in Igbo. Nikagola iri rice ni beer. Acho change na state time. That was exactly what they said. And everybody, the whole polling unit, everybody votes Alex Otti. But that was not what shocked me. After the election, let me not exaggerate, more than 20 buses left Aba filled with people and they came into Secretariat. And those of us who stay in Umahia know that INEC office in Secretariat is close to the CBN, which is where almost all the offices are. The army barricaded the place, army, police, everybody. But these boys refused to leave because they heard that PDP wanted to manipulate the result. These boys stood there because I came there, they stood there for 3 days from CBN Junction down to BCA Road was filled up with Abians that said, if you people will not call the result, we die here. That, like, it was the first time I saw that. Like, I didn't believe it. Me, I was scared because yes, I voted, but I was scared to stay there because looking at the army, they were holding rifles. So I was like, maybe this will not call open fire. So I stayed towards the Secretariat new building. That was the area I stayed and I was observing everything. But these boys, they slept on that road. Abians from Aba, they came, they stood their ground up until finally, I think on the 3rd day or the 4th day, that was when the woman came back from Abuja. I don't know, Alex Otti, they all, the whole, and then she declared her result, and then the whole celebration happened. What am I trying to say? We, the people, we are more powerful than the politicians. And if we all come out and stand our ground on that election day, okay, if all the citizens come out and say, this thing, una must call the right result, How many people can the police kill? How many people can the army kill? How many are the police? How many are the army? Because I saw it happen in Abia State. I'm feeling very pained now because I'm in Lagos. I'm feeling somehow because I felt now that I left Abia, Abia is now doing very well. But I'm just praying that if Alex Otti wins his second bid, which I'll be traveling to Abia to vote for him again, and if he comes in on the second tenure, it means that someone like me will be going back to Abia because Abia is a beautiful place to stay. So that's just my own submission. Thank you.
I like how you ended this. This is actually the purpose. This is the real essence because it's not normal that everybody who wants to be successful in Nigeria moves to either Lagos or Abuja. It's not normal. Or Port Harcourt. It's not normal. It's because we don't have people who take their job very seriously. If the states were working very well, you wouldn't have that level of migration to all those big cities. And that's the essence. If a state can make people do that, return home, that means they are working. We can actually duplicate this in all the states. But I want to bring something to Madam Aisha. I've heard you mention something about senators and House of Rep members, and also heard Dr. Nemeka mention that. So there's a gap here that needs to be filled. And in my head, I'm wondering, how do we fill that gap? It's one thing for the people to fight very, very hard to make sure that people who they want in there get in there. It's another thing for them to even know who they should fight for, especially when it comes to people going for legislative positions. For governor, I mean, most of the times people know who they are voting for governorship candidates. But when it comes to the legislators, most people don't even know who is running most of the times. How do we bridge this gap so people can gain closer, have a better understanding of who they are dealing with, get more information or pay closer attention, gain be more involved, in fact, in the process in the sense that they are asking questions. They are trying to find out who is running, who are the ones running, just the same way you want to know who is running for governorship. How to draw people to the point where they are heavily invested in the process of bringing up legislators representing them. We don't even know what's going on with them now. A lot have left the party, to APC and to other parties. So the issue is people are not close to these guys. People are not paying attention to these guys. How do we bridge that gap and bring them closer? Put light on that as well as we're doing it with the governors.
Okay, so the first thing is what do we take as important? What is important enough for us to focus our attention on the issue of we look at the executive position and we focus on them. Most times also we do not participate in how they come to be. So for most of them, it's usually at the end of the day when the parties decide who is the flag bearer, and then we begin to look at them and say, okay, let's choose amongst them. We're doing either the lesser evil between the devil and the Red Sea. We are choosing from that because we wait till the end. The real moment to choose, it's in the party where you're participant in ensuring who is it that becomes a flag bearer. And this is what we have the opportunity, to do now. The first thing is to care enough. One of the problems we have is that most Nigerians, we do not understand the relationship between governance and our lives. So it's so far away. It's almost as if, okay, there's someone else who is taking care of our problem. A lot of the citizens in Nigeria are the ones who are subsidizing government. We're doing the work that government is supposed to do. If you check my tweet earlier this morning, 5:50, I was in the studying. Someone calls a number I don't know, haven't ever seen, because I have the peculiar habit of the moment I talk with someone or exchange a message, I will save it in one way or the other to know I've spoken to this person before. And he calls me that, his father is in the hospital, emergency diabetes and all of that, blah, 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 blah. But you see, that's the first thing. Most times we call people, although at the end of the day, it turns out not to be so, because I sent a team to go, okay, fine, because I won't give you money directly. Is the hospital, let's get it there. The person isn't there. But this is what we've done in Nigeria. We've turned people, to government. So because of that, we are not interested in who is our councillor, starting from councillor, who is our chairman or chairperson, who is our state house of assembly member, and on and on and on. So if we first of all focus, because it's not even about so far away, it's about, there are, I think, about 6-7 of them on that line. If we want to, we then would be invested. So the first thing that we need to understand is the relationship between governance and our lives. The fact that you have not gotten a job, it is not your enemy. It is not principalities and powers. It is not village people. It is not witches and wizards. It's just bad governance. The economy is contracting. It's not expanding. And because of that, market jobs are being lost. Your own is not there. And the jobs are not being created. And so it's making it more difficult for you to get that job, rather than thinking that, oh, it is enemies that are the problem. So if we look at it from that point of view, then we not be focused on who are the people who are coming out, to run in this particular positions. And so one of the things also is to say, like I did mention it earlier, to say right now, if every one of us look at it from the position of, we need to have certain people in the National Assembly speaking for us. I mean, if I have someone like Professor Nnenna Otti as INEC, what do you call it now? INEC
Returning officer.
chairperson, or the chairman.
Okay.
No, not
Okay,
returning officer,
chairman.
the
Okay.
chairman itself, the
Yeah.
chairperson. I think they all call them chairman. Let's say and I will go home and sleep, knowing fully well that nobody fit do anyhow for where she did. Now she's going to do the right thing, irrespective of whose ox is God. You understand? She's going to be there. So that's part of the places where we then have to start looking, who is it from my locality, from my place, from the people? Because we see people coming out to say they want to run for office, but what do we do most of the time? We ridicule them. We laugh at them. We mock them. Oh, you think election is by how to talk? Oh, you think election is by this? Oh, you don't have money. That's where we lose it. Because there are people, we can't say we don't know people who want to run. Most of the time, we just pretend not to be bothered, not to see them. We ridicule them, we abuse them, we denigrate them, we are disdainful of who they are. Oh, activists cannot run for office, or they don't make good policy. There's a way they used to put it. But then when you have problem, you're going to those activists, those advocates, to solve the problem for you. But to give them the authority to actually stand and speak for you, begin to find all manner of excuses. So I don't think it's a matter of it's a matter of we don't care enough. And then at the same time, also, I think another thing that is going on is that if we care enough, then there is a responsibility on us to do the needful. And I will tell you something: elections are very expensive. Politicians work very hard. I've said that many times. They work extremely hard. They put in everything. I've been asking this particular question I'm going to ask for the last, I think, 1 or 2 years, to say, do we really have the moral justification to tell politicians not to go into office and loot? Because we ask them to use their money. You see people laughing, making fun of people. Oh, you don't have money, you want to run for election. The people who come in and spend their monies, they'll be the one to then do whatever it is that they want to do. When they get in there, they are trying to recoup their money. So they probably won't act the same way. They won't have the voices the same way. If people have sponsored them, those people will control them. So it is also, sometimes we try to just ignore, because we don't want to also be in the place where we are contributing to the people, to the people's, what do you call it now, campaign. And if we don't put our monies where our votes are, where are we going to go from there? So I don't really think it's a matter of that we don't know these people. We chose not to know them. We chose to ignore them and focus on the one that it's more, how do I put it, more glamorous, more fun. Those ones are bringing all the money, campaign, whatever, and leave the ones that are running for the legislative. And if I can tell you the easiest way to, do you know there are certain people who actually go to National Assembly with less than 10,000 votes? Yeah. especially during by-elections, people don't participate, people move on. These are moments where if we really are interested in that National Assembly and know the importance, because I think most of the time Nigerians have taken the legislative arm as the way it is now, where it's just a rubber stamp. I think most of us really don't understand the enormous powers that are in the hands of the legislative arm. Nobody gives law. It's the legislative arm that can give law. They can come and redo whatever law is that they want to change it, they will change it. They are the ones, if they don't pass, and even when they pass a law, right, and then a president does not assent to it, they have the power to veto it and pass it on their own. If we are talking about we want new constitution, which is a lot of, oh, we want new constitution, who is going to give you new constitution? A president cannot give you new constitution. A governor cannot give you new constitution. It is the National Assembly and the state houses of assembly that can give you a new constitution. For those who want, oh, we want regional government, we want this, we want that, it is that National Assembly. So I think when we understand the importance of it, then we will focus more on the players that are there. It's not as if they are not there. They've always been there, but because we've relegated them and we see them as the normal ones, we see that are like rubber stamp or being used by the executive, or the ones that can be paid by Ghana must go, and that's it. And so we've not really, embraced that and focused on. I think the first thing that needs to happen is every one of us sitting back and really look at the legislative arm of government, both National Assembly and the state houses of assembly, to know their power, the power that they have, and the role that they play in governance, because they are actually the bedrock of democracy. Without them, there's no democracy. Whatever government you have, there's always an executive and the judiciary. Is that legislative arm that is always the missing part
Yeah.
if it's not a democracy. And so if we understand that, then we'll be focused more on them the way we
I
should.
agree with you
Thank you.
100%. I think the conversation needs to expand into the spaces of what these guys are doing. Like, we need to be talking more about what the legislators are doing, both at the federal level and the state level, because they have been ignored for so long. There's something I wanted to ask regarding what you said, but I think that will take us in a new direction. But that's just something you might want to keep in mind. I just feel like it's like chicken and egg situation. One of the reasons why elections seem too expensive for politicians, is because most of the times they're going in there to loot. So they have to go in there at all costs, like pay whoever they have to pay, do whatever they have to do, lobby whoever they have to lobby. So it becomes so expensive. I believe that if they were going in there with altruistic or genuine intentions, what they will have to spend will be probably a fraction of what they're having to spend now. I mean, when you look at what happened in 2022, 2023, with those who ran through Labour Party, the difference is clear. Some of them were even like people who weren't even doing well. I don't want to say they were poor, because somebody who is doing Okada is probably not well employed, so he had to do Okada. But for an Okada man, or for just a common man who doesn't really have much to himself, to be able to run for legislative office and win, that means there was an infrastructure that made it possible for him to get in there, because he didn't have to bribe or lobby or pay anybody. But I think it's neither here nor there. I think it goes both ways. Let me take a question from Johnson. Johnson.
Okay. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think it's kind of a very interesting conversation you've been having. So I'm just gonna say good evening, good afternoon, and good morning to everyone. I so much agreed or aligned with what Aisha Yusuf have said. We we have to like extend it far beyond like the legislators, but also the party politics, because the party is actually the vehicle where most of those leaders actually come into place. So it's important for us to be able to, also be at the party politics. Just like they said, everything is grassroots. My kind of question, I think I might just ask it in a little bit. Maybe I can, I don't know. I'm going to frame it this way because, to be very frank, the role whereby one particular person can actually play in a country, I think with what we've are experiencing with Tinubu have actually get to tell us how powerful or how important the leader in Nigeria with regards to the presidency. So my question would be more like, observing what we are seeing with Tinubu, whereby you see like even some of the revered personalities, people that you kind of revered. In fact, even not just academics, not just what do they call them, civil rights activists or uh, clergies, the religious people, you see the impact Tinubu can actually play, whereby most of those revered people you grew up, kind of uh, holding them in high esteem. You see how the weight of one role of Tinubu can actually compromise them, So I would say to me that kind of re-emphasizes the more need or the more important need whereby we need someone like Peter Obi, to be able to kind of start fixing up not just governance, but we also have like institutional reforms whereby we can have a situation whereby, one evil person cannot be able to compromise the entire country, So my I think I kind of know the answer to all this, but I would just want to like throw it just to get to hear the opinion of maybe Aisha Yusuf and other people there, you know, considering how, Tinubu has actually exposed how most of our people in Nigeria, the civil society, the clergy, and everything, I don't know, how do they think maybe Nigeria we can be able to navigate that? Because we can have, on one hand, I agreed with everything everyone was saying, even going down to the party politics, but having someone as bad as this person, even if you ended up, having good people in the legislators, somebody that wields such power like Tinubu will still ended up, compromising a lot of people. So it's more like an indictment on, should I say, the integrity of maybe people in Nigeria, or I don't know. So maybe that would be like a question just to hear
Okay.
other people's opinion. Thank you.
Okay. Do you want to react to it? Any of you do you want to react to that, Madam Aisha or Dr. Nemeka?
Yeah, sure. I can.
Okay.
Uh, okay, so I think one of the things that we keep doing is that we sort of like amplify the people that Mr. Tinubu has won over. We don't look at the people that he has lost, right? We don't amplify that. And then we also don't look at the people that have not been won over. If you look at for someone, for someone like Mr. Tinubu and the number of people that he had made enemies in terms of that actually helped him to get into power, that says a lot. And I think for me, maybe I might be wrong from the way that I'm looking at it. They are even more than the people that he has won over. It's just always like, okay, when one person like, oh, this person has, gone over, and then we forget all the other ones that have left. Give one person that he has won over, you will see two others that he lost, that were his supporters in 2023 that are no longer as supporting him. So I think somehow we also need to factor that in, that there are a lot of people who are saying no to these things that are going on. And then to quickly look at what you had said, what was said earlier on the issue of people who are going into loot. That's why they spend so much money. On a normal day, elections are very expensive. It's not even that bribe or money. People think it's like you're using money to bribe or buy. No, just the things. Imagine even you are doing campaign within a town and you see a lot of those vehicles that are traveling, just fueling it alone. The fuel that you will need to buy, that alone is something. It's not a little bit amount of money. People that are going with you, you need to feed them. If it's like presidential election where you're traveling from place to place, expensive. So it's something that we have to imbibe that culture of saying we are donating to candidates, small donors, big donors, everyone putting in something. Nigerians will donate, crowdfund for some other things, but they won't crowdfund for election. That's where the problem is. For what we had last 2023, most of the people that get were beneficiaries of support for someone. It wasn't that they were the ones who were people were donating to give them. No, it was somebody else that people were campaigning for, using their monies to do, and then they became beneficiary of it. And most times when people use their money to go in, for example, somebody wants to be senator, you're spending, the person has spent between 500 million to 1 billion to be able to go there. Even though the law says this thing, there are a lot of spendings that go on. There's no how the person will recoup it. So when the person is getting there, no matter how altruistic the person thought he was going to be, the person will start thinking of recouping. And then for those who don't spend, because I actually totally agree with you. If I'm going to go and serve, how am I using this money to go and serve people? But then the people who then say, no, I'm just going to serve, so they don't bring the money, what then happens? They lose, they're ashamed, they are vilified, and the next person that wants to come in ends up not going there because they don't also want to get the same kind of treatment. Thank you.
Actually, that brings it home. Actually, I wanted to. Okay, let me allow somebody to ask question before that. I want to bring this to you, Dr. Nemeka, from an extension of what Aisha just said now. Ogaranya, you have the floor. Ogaranya,
Yeah. Good evening.
good evening.
Yes.
Let's have your question.
Actually, I do not have a question, but I have a contribution on the subject matter: impact of a credible election, in honor of Professor Nnenna Otti. I share the like mind of Dr. Nnameka. I'm coming from the business angle, and I was in Abia State. I've been in Abia State several times over the past 1 year, and I've been in Abia State before Dr. Alex Otti became governor, and I've seen tremendous difference. It's just like night and day. The difference is so clear in Abia State. Now, credible election ensures accountability. Why do I say so? I've related very closely with people in Abia State, particularly in the government circle at the highest level. And I've seen this sense of responsibility among them. They are not resting. The governor, Alex Otti's team, the economic team in particular, don't sleep. They don't rest, right? They just seem to have this sense of responsibility of owing they're indebted to the people of Abia State. And I will say it is thanks to Professor Nnenna Otti. She delivered the mandate of Abia around the neck of Alex Otti. Alex Otti is now like the proverbial dog that is having the bone around his neck. That is just what he's going through in Abia State. And he feels this responsibility that I cannot fail the people of Abia State. And that is the result you are seeing in Abia State. Every blessed day, there's something new to celebrate. There's something new to tell Abia, to show them, not just to tell them, to show them that this is what I am using this mandate to deliver to you people. And Abia keep asking this question: where do you see this money from? That is what credible election can do. It helps the people to hold the leaders to account. Okay, so Nigeria is not even celebrating Abia State and Alex Otti enough. I believe there should be more publicity around the transformation, the linkage between where Abia was and where Abia is, and use it to show to Nigerians what can be when we have credible elections in the local government, in your state, even at the legislative level, and even at the presidency. Nigerians need to hear more of these stories, to do that they understand and appreciate that credible elections can deliver good governance. Again, the burden of performance is a very big question. Those who go in there buy these elections with their money, okay, when they enter there, they feel relaxed, they feel at home. They have no need to perform, to deliver. They have nothing to show to anybody, and they don't care. But with credible election, and what Professor Nnenna Otti has done, she has bridged that gap and made sure that with what is going on in Abia State today, Alex Otti is more like saying he has a burden of proof on his neck.
He's now telling the people, I can do this and I am doing it. And the people of Abia are seeing the results in good life every day. Quality of life has improved in Abia State. Investors like me, like my colleagues, are trooping to Abia State in droves, not just one. Now, there are stories we've heard that in several states around Nigeria, even in Nigeria at the national level, we hear about contract and bidding processes. In Abia State, it is not longer about whom you know. It is not about how much you have. It is about you being able to show capacity. The state, as I speak to you, is being selective in who becomes a contractor or who becomes a project developer in the state. That is how serious investors are finding it in Abia State. And that is a function. The state is now, in the place where they are choosing. It's funny, but that is the gospel truth. They are now choosy. When you go to PPP office and IP, you see litany of companies there, files stacked up, being attended to, but the state is now being careful. They are saying has to be the best that has to deliver on XYZ project. These are the long-term, immediate and long-term benefits of credible elections. Nobody is sleeping. Even local government chairman in Abia State, I was interacting with the local government chairman of Umunoji. The man is hustling every day to attract investments into his local government. I was shocked. I said, "Oga, are you not waiting for allocation?" He said, what does he need allocation for? That he needs investment. He needs factories. He needs small scale businesses. Any kind of business he can bring into his local government. He says, I want to boost my IGR. This is what credible elections can do. The man is fighting night and day to better off his local government beyond what he met on ground. As a matter of fact, that man had a very good business life, but somehow he won election, is there, and the man is doing what? Showing capacity. A man who has a construction company, was into into some other businesses too, but the man is doing wonders there. Now this is what credible elections can do. People do not see what does, as somebody said, it is difficult. It is difficult for somebody who has not managed money or business outside to come into politics and become successful. It is very difficult. It is only those like Peter Obi and some of those people we know who have been out there, who know the value of money. When they come into public office, you find out that they appreciate what it takes. That money, this small money they get from from FAC allocation, they're able to find a way to transform it into bigger projects that impacts on the life of the people. Abia State today is not just doing projects. I don't know if the governor has embarked on any flyover project or any white elephant project, but you find out that every project the state governor is doing today is measured towards the needs of the people. The needs of the people. Projects that actually meet the needs of the people, not projects that are used to siphon money from the coffers of government. Like we see in several states, high flyovers flying everywhere, here and there, airports here and there, and all that and all that. Projects that do not transform the lives of the people. But you find out that in Abia State, projects are carefully measured and they are delivered to meet the needs of the people. We should not overlook these things. These are very salient points.
Yeah.
Okay, and on going forward, I want to commend the state governor, and I believe some of my people in government there are listening, and I want to commend the work they are doing. The business template and the business temperature in Abia State is getting better and better and better by the day. I have been part of a team that came to Abia State some weeks ago, and I was shocked at what my partners requested for the electric buses in Abia State. What they came there to look at is what can we do to improve on what the government has on ground. We came there to talk about what we could do and all that, but they found out what the government has done so far, and they were quite impressed. And the question is, those electric buses Abia State has currently, 20 of them in number, what can be done? What can we do to improve on the quality and make this better? You find out that it is no longer just, oh, come allocate, give contract to 1 or 2%, but you find out that people want to do better. People are compelled to improve on what the state has currently on ground, and that is kudos to Dr. Alex Otti,
All right.
because from his experience and his background, he's been able to capture like Dr. Nemeka said, he's not going around the world shopping for empty promises and projects and contractors and investors here and there. Investors are trooping by themselves into Abia State because of what is going on and what has been set up. The due process is there, accountability is there, people are seeing the impact. And that is why when people like OUK, Odus Okalo and Co. rose up to challenge what is going on in the state, the people responded loudly and clearly to him that this man is delivering. That is the benefit of credible election. I wish Nigerians in everywhere could borrow or mirror what is going on in Abia State. If we borrow a leaf from Abia State and India and what they have done by defending the elections. I heard somebody last said people voted and young men and women defended their votes and said, we will not leave until the results are declared. If we can replicate this in different states and even at the federal level, I assure you there will be a rise of credible leaders who came up through credible elections who will be delivering on the mandate of the people. So at this point in time, I want to commend Ndiabi, and I will tell you the battle is not over. Like Nnameka said, do not sleep with your two eyes closed because the vultures are on the sky already. Sleep with one eye open and at the same time still continue on this mandate of delivering Dr. Alex Otti because Abia State will be continually be better off than where it is because all the projects I know of, all the projects that Nnameka has spoken about so far are all geared or fruits of credible election, and they'll be are all
All
geared
right.
towards the betterment of the lives of Indiabia. So thank you very much. I yield.
You are truly an
Okay.
Ogaranya. True. You're truly an Ogaranya.
Okay.
Dr. Meka,
Okay.
before I have a
So,
question for you, but
yes.
I just want to make a little announcement. We have
Mm,
someone live streaming this conversation on YouTube. The link is on the Jumbotron, just in case you have anybody who can't join us here, who can easily go to YouTube to watch. And they can also rewatch it because it's a live stream, it stays there. She's not going to delete it. So we have that as an extension of this conversation. Also, just in case we have anybody from the Abia State government on this space, whether you're listening directly or as anonymous, if you would like to come into this conversation and just share with us, you're welcome. Request the mic coming. We'll give you some minutes to talk. So, Dr. Nobaka, this Ogaranya has set the ball rolling for something I wanted to bring to you from what Madam Aisha said. So, there's this belief that elected office should be for those who have done well for themselves relative to the office they are running for. So if you're running for governor, you should have done well enough that if they call you governor, at least you have proven that you can manage some things, you can manage an organization. Then it shows that you have enough in your antecedents to be able to move to that next level. So the question I'm putting to you, I'm bringing to you for everybody listening to you now is, what should people be looking for when they are looking at the candidates they want to vote for? Based on this
you
context.
have to look for people. You have to look for people that have capacity, proven capacity. Capacity is not something you just. It's not a cliche you just mouth. Proven capacity
What are
and people that are competent.
what are the indicators that they should be looking for?
Very simple. Before P2B became of Anambra State, he was chairman of a bank and a core stakeholder in three major banks in Nigeria. He was running a business and was doing so well. So he did not come to power for the sake of what to eat or what to drink. He came to serve, and you could see the results after 8 years in Anambra State. When Sir Louis Odimegwu Ojukwu went to parliament in the First Republic, he was one of the wealthiest men in Africa. He was chairman of 15 top corporations in fact, he was the founder of Nigeria Stock Exchange. He went to the National Assembly not because he wanted to pursue contracts and harass the members of the executive to extort money from them like we are seeing in National Assembly. He went there to make laws, to help in shaping policy and programs that will make Nigeria. Men that we expect to position themselves in place of power and authority. And that is why Alex is doing what he's doing today. Alex rose to the highest level in the banking industry. Alex did not enter into Abia State government house to look for. Makinde is doing relatively well because. He the impact of that is experienced in the private sector. What is it? And there's something Aisha pointed out, which most of us are overlooking. All over the world, Obama became president of the US as a genius. $200 here to support Obama. You know, here in Nigeria is what, oh, Peter is not pulling well. Peter is not raising enough communication team. Makinde is not doing this. It's so unfortunate that we don't even understand our roles as citizens. As a citizen, you are the one who is actually supposed to determine who will run or who will become who by your contribution, not just monetary contribution, putting boot on the ground, knocking on doors, influencing people. Let me tell you, you know, when we talk you, Nigeria is a land filled with so much opportunities. But bad governance and leadership has made us not to do what we're supposed to do. Today in Nigeria, we import over $10 billion worth of grain into Nigeria. It's a $320 billion industry. Nigeria has no business importing grain, importing maize, importing most of these things. They were importing it because of terrible governments. And do you know what will shock you? They're even importing these grains at market price and subsidizing the price here in Nigeria. That's what I do in Abuja. So that to take out local farmers. Somebody called me and said, in Taraba State, there are maize farmers who are selling 100 kg bag of maize for 20,000. Nobody is buying it because there is no even means of evacuating it because of terrible governments and insecurity. Now, let me tell you what, in Abia State, as I'm talking to you in Bend, the local, you know those people running their mouth in APC. Oh, we will run him out. Let me tell you, the people are hungry. You must give somebody something to hold on to be able to fight. In Bend, the local government area where these guys come from, we are doing over 500 hectares of agro parks, word by word. And it's very simple. There is no skyrocket science about it. The people are not lazy. We're asking them, you bring your land, map out your land, 50 hectares, one youth per hectare. Our job is to bring the tractors, to clear the land for them. We will give them the seedlings that they will use, impure seedlings. We will give them agronomists that will train them. They will plant it. And everything they produce, we will offtake and buy it from them. We will process it in Abia State and we will export it out or sell it within the local market. Now, let me tell you what will happen. Imagine in a local government of 13 wards. In every of the ward, you have 100 youths. And each of them are empowered to do 1 hectare. And each of them within a cycle of 6 months is able to generate 1, 2, 3 million naira as revenue from that output. Tell me how anybody will come to that particular ward and tell him he wants to rig an election when this is not an off-cycle thing. It's something that he's going to do for the rest of his life, and he has seen somebody that have come to empower him. Just like you said, we are tired of drinking, we are tired of smoking. We want somebody that will empower us. These are the little we are doing to ensure that in 2027, anybody who is coming to rig an election or thinking he will come and carry ballot, when Alex Otti said those who are planning to rig to ride their way, this is one of the practical ways of telling them the people will bury you because they will not want to take them back to Egypt. So it's not just enough. I've said most people who go to power just for the sake of what they will eat or what they'll drink are the lazy, unthinking, and greedy people. I'll give you an example of what we're doing now. In every electoral ward, we are giving them 2 haulage trucks. What is the work of the haulage trucks? To help them move things from their farms to the market. It will shock you the kind of things people are going through. And they are going through it because none of the private sector elites have been able to think out of the box. What do we do to bridge the gap? Government cannot do anything, everything. So when you have a government who is in place, who is doing what they're supposed to do to provide the enabling environment, what we should do as private citizens who have the means is to join them to help create the jobs, create the productive opportunities for those who are less privileged to be able to participate in it. So, you know, while they are busy in going to Umwahia, going to about to sing, or the youths are busy being empowered so that on the day of election, those that are going to use to scatter the ballot boxes, those that are going to use to carry ballot boxes, those that are going to use to do talks are already busy doing something very, very worthwhile. And when they are employed and they are empowered and they are well fed, now you've turned them from the devil into some productive work. There's no way you can rig election within their environment. So these are the practical things that the man has done. And this is how we are following up. As I'm talking to you now, do you know what will shock you? We have a Federal University of Agriculture in Umudike. When we were trying to do the agro parks last year, there was no functional tractors in the university. No functional bulldozer. We were hiring bulldozers from Enugu, rickety 1998 bulldozers. You will pay 3.5 million for low bed to carry the rickety bulldozer for 650,000 naira every day to go and work in Bende, where you have number 6 man and other people. At the end of the day, the bulldozer will work for 2 days, he will break down for 3 days. When we saw these things now and we have a governor, what we've practically done that, as I'm talking to you now, we have an arrangement with Umudike where we're going to supply them with brand new tractors and bulldozers. So that the children will have practical ways of learning agriculture. And those who want to hire can go there to hire at a very subsidized rate of 200 naira per hectare.
Oh, yeah.
These are ways private sector players should participate. When you have a government that is doing so well and you have voice or speckling, you need to put your foot on the ground. Do what you're supposed to do to take away those agents they will use to disrupt things, to be on the path of light.
That's an insightful angle to this. Let's bring in some questions from the audience. Actually, we have spent a lot of time here. I think we'll be rounding up soon, so we have to move a little quicker. For those who are raising their hands, are you bringing in questions or do you want to contribute? Whatever it is, you need to make it brief. So the next person is Egbezo. Egbezo, can you hear me? You have the floor. Egbezomo, sorry. Florence, can you hear me? Okay. Amefuna or Amefune. Amefune, can you hear me? So, can you hear me? Okay, looks like nobody.
We can hear you. We can hear you. No, you're actually audible. Maybe people have slept off.
Village. Okay, village Malam.
All
Village
right.
Malam, you have the floor.
Can you
Yeah.
guys hear me?
Yes, can hear you. You have the floor.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Go on.
All right. Yeah. So, first of all, uh, Professor Otti, and I wanted to ask, or rather recommend, come 2027, if we can, once our NEC lists the names of the returning officers, if we have their pictures, Nigerians are very brilliant in that. We have their pictures, their information put out there in the public because they are public servants at that point. Their family, their university, everything around them. I'll begin to discuss them even before, the election proper and after the election proper, so that their children and their students in different university, we tell them, even if they are not on social media, that people are already discussing about them and that all eyes are on them. That would put, again, a pressure for them to emulate what Professor Otti did. Then another point is this. I want to correct this impression. So there is this notion that Alex is performing because there is an increment. I said, I beg to disagree. Alex is actually a magician. He said that if you check the fact allocation, it didn't change. It still remained over 1.9%, and federal government is getting over 46%. Now, 1.9%, if we break it down to the amount in naira, before 2023, they were receiving about 5 billion or thereabout, and currently receiving about 15 billion or so. So those claiming that they are receiving more money, no, they are not. It is saying that in 2023, before 2023, dollar was 400, and now dollar is around 1,004. So if you multiply 5 billion of before 2023 by the current dollar, you are having times 1.4, you'll be having over 7 trillion as at then. Now, if you multiply 15 billion they are receiving now by the rate in before 2023 by 400, you see like 6 trillion. So by reality, they are receiving less now, which is 6 trillion, than the what in before 2023, which is over 7 trillion. So those that always make this noise that they are receiving more money, that's why it's not that, is not true. Because if you go by the current rate and the previous rate, it is not there. So we must commend, Alex Otti, especially in terms of lights, electricity, and the rest of them. So I really wish every other governor can emulate him, and we can have more of that in 2027 and up to the national level. Presidency that is receiving over 46% of our FAC allocation. We need to start seeing things. So if someone in 3 years can do such work that is being discussed internationally in Abia State, there's someone that is receiving 46 billion, 46% of our FAC allocation should touch more Nigerians more. Thank you, guys. Salam alaikum.
Thank you. Godswill, you want to chime in?
Yes, I just wanted to kind of point out because Nnenna had mentioned about the problems with bad governance. The bad governance affects everybody. I mean, you have a situation where there are thousands and thousands and thousands of opportunities that are stranded on the borders, outside the borders of Nigeria. Opportunities that could transform the lives, drive prosperity, create wealth with Nigerian citizens. I mean, I know that we have the situation with the geometric, but people like me, we've had situations where we have oil and gas projects that we're supposed to bring to Nigeria that we actually deployed. We had all 100% funding, from overseas, from international investors, and we had ready. These are project ready. These are shovel ready projects, oil and gas projects that are ready to provide, and this will drive hundreds of thousands of jobs, good paying jobs for fresh graduates and experienced graduates. And this opportunity was destroyed by the criminals in Aso Rock. Why? Because there was no provision for their $3 million bribe that they requested. So these guys were actually telling you, look, we cannot let you bring this opportunity that would drive value, that will benefit Nigerians, that will benefit fresh graduates, that will create job opportunities, hundreds of thousands of job opportunities, because they are not able to get their $3 million bribe. So what do you see? You see not just institution I was bringing, opportunities I was bringing, but you see there are thousands and thousands and thousands of Nigerians in diaspora that are looking to bring opportunities that will transform the lives of millions and millions of Nigerians. But these criminals in leadership are not letting those opportunities get beyond the border that come into Nigeria. It's either they are asking for their own bribe, or they are asking for obnoxious payoff, or they are making sure that these opportunities does not filter into Nigeria and begin to transform and create wealth among Nigerians. So what does that? So we have to make a decision as Nigerians. Are we going to sit and allow the criminal leaders to capture the destiny, the prosperity that God endowed, divinely endowed destiny and prosperity that a country like Nigeria is supposed to benefit its citizens? But our criminal leaders have snatched and captured 250 million destinies that would have resulted in prosperity. People able to easily buy houses and start families and send their kids to school and even have vacations overseas if they want to. But that has been denied them by the criminal leaders that captured and ripped off their destiny. So how are Nigerians going to wake up and say, it's enough is enough? We have to reclaim our destiny. We have to retrieve our destinies from the hands of the captors. And 2027 is an opportunity for us, for 250 million Nigerians to recapture their destinies. Because if they don't, then they might as well be lost in perpetuity. Because these destinies will not be handed over to them without a fight. Thank you.
Indeed. I think we are going to bring this space to the end, or this conversation to its end. I think we have exhausted some aspects of this conversation, but if we're to expand it further, we will be here till maybe 1 a.m. And I think we have taken enough of the time of our guests, so we'll be rounding up from here. I don't think there's anybody left on the speaker panel that has not spoken. The other guys that I tried to bring in, probably they were sleeping or something or away from their phone. So let's just, okay, we have somebody here. Rita, how are you? Rita, can you hear me?
For me, oh, great. I can hear you.
Okay, do
Good
you want to,
evening, everybody.
good evening. Do you want to engage the speakers or you have a contribution or
Oh,
you're from
no.
Abia?
Oh, right now I'm from Abia State. I don't port from Delta State
Everybody's
to
from Abia
Abia
now.
right now.
Everybody's from Abia now.
Yeah, I just want to give a brief submission, contribution to everything. Ma'am Aisha, I say thank you very much. Greetings to you, ma'am. Uncle Biari, it's been a while. Greetings to you. Greetings to everybody on the space. Big bro, magnificent dude. Everybody, greetings, okay? I just want to say a very big thank you to Ma'am Nnenna Otti, okay? As someone who participated effectively in the last 2023 election, I saw um, how how will I use it now? How tough that election was. And for a woman in the midst of many, I'm sorry guys, got food in my mouth. I never knew I was going to call right now. So but I just have to do this, okay? I'm so sorry. In the midst of many, she stood her ground and said, I am not just going to follow the few. I'm going to do the biddings of the multitude. And because of that singular decision, Abians today are celebrating. I listened to my namesake, Mr. Goswell, when he was speaking, and the voice I heard today is way different from the voice I've always heard. That's to say how much the resilience of this single woman have impacted his life to the extent even, you know, now women, the quick cry pass. If I was the one saying what he said, oh my God, maybe tears won't even let me finish. But you still could see it. You could feel it in his voice that something deep happened to him. And he's so happy that somebody was able to stand on her ground to say, let there be light in this place. I also listened to Revolutionary Youth. She called her name. Like, I don't need to go to Abia State right now to see what the sacrifice of a woman has done to the people of Abians. Thank you so much, very much. Posterity will be kind to you. In a country where professors rig elections for people who have no single idea what the 4 walls of primary school look like, let alone a secondary school, not to talk of university, you stood your ground. Despite being in a very tough environment, you said no to evil and you said yes to light. Like, seriously, posterity will be so kind to you, ma'am. And generations unborn from your lineage will indeed still be reaping the fruit of this very labor that you have sown. Ladies and gentlemen, to mommy, Professor Nnenna Otti,